Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Bowman?
Here.
Mercado's here. Dawson?
Bowser.
Downs?
Here.
Kaderis?
Here.
Kurtz?
Here.
Natali?
Here.
Strollo? Selmont? Affey?
Here.
Blake? Hilsinger? We have a quorum.
Okay, Commission and Public, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first order of business tonight is is the application for a special permit for Central Connecticut Recycling and Transfer LLC. Can we hear do you have the call? Yes. Can I hear the call for that, please?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Bowman.
I will be recusing myself.
Okay. We want to come up, we're gonna need one.
Application for a special permit on behalf of Central Connecticut Recycling and Transfer LLC. Applicant. Applicant is requesting a special permit pursuant to Section 30, Schedule A, Number 71 of the zoning regulations for refuse transfer and recycling center located at 22 Burton Drive, Assessors Map 12, Lot 18, 19, and 43, zoned I-2.
Mr. Affey, why don't you come up too? I know that they're coming, but just in case they take a little while, we'll deal with it then, so.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Ryan McAvoy. I'm a licensed professional engineer with SLR, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Central Connecticut Recycling and Transfer, for a cardboard building located at their existing facility at 22 Burton Drive. The site is shown in the aerial image here, consists of actually 3 parcels at the present time. And it is on the end of Burton Drive. Burton Drive is shown here, headed east-west. North is facing me. East Johnson Avenue is to the north of the site, although there's no access other than frontage on East Johnson for the property today. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the operation of this site. Given that it's used for public drop-off of refuse. You enter from Burton Drive, take a left, and the scale shack or scale house is located central. You have office buildings and maintenance of vehicles. Central to the north, you have more maintenance of vehicles, and the transfer building itself is located on the east portions of the site. Most of the site is essentially paved. It's essentially entirely used for the current recycling and transfer use today. And in general, the site's pretty flat, where it's developed, where you see asphalt buildings, et cetera, draining from north to south or right to left on the sheet. And this plan attempts to illustrate the extent of what we're proposing as part of this application, and that is a 55 by 75-foot building located roughly eastern central to the property. I'm using that term even though there's 3 parcels today. 2 of the parcels will have to be consolidated in order to allow for this building addition, this building to be zoning compliant with regard to setback, and that's shown in our plan. And if approved, that consolidation would occur before any building permit is sought. The purpose of this building really is essentially to house a compactor or equipment that will be used to compact cardboard. Right now, cardboard is brought in loose and is shipped out loose, and that's not very efficient for the owner or for the applicant. So they'll be able to house the compactor in this building, store the cardboard, compact it, and then allow for it to be loaded into a tractor trailer, and then leaving the site compacted in much more economical fashion than it currently does today. This building will be built at a similar elevation to the transfer building that exists today. There will be some grading to achieve, to bring it up to the same level and allow for a ramp to be installed on the south side of the building. And there will be a loading dock, which has a bit of a depression going into, in between the 2 buildings, where the trailer will be loaded and then leave the site. In terms of site utilities, we intended to collect runoff from the roof and put it into dry wells. And we also have a low point where the loading dock is, where we have a catch basin that we also show going into dry wells, although we did receive some comments from the Connecticut DEEP, which were forwarded to us from the Regional Water Authority, where The use of dry wells is something that they're concerned about because it is located within an aquifer protection area. And I can say that I think professionally that having roof runoff is not something that would contribute to any potential waste in the groundwater. That I think it makes some sense to have roof runoff go into the ground. But the catch basin, we do intend, or we would agree to not have that discharge into dry wells. That can be discharged to grade further to the south and southeast of where we showed today, if that's preferred, rather than putting them in the ground. And I can understand that concern that getting that into the ground could potentially include some harmful materials or chemicals that would get into the ground, which we have no exception to pulling out of any dry well or dry wells. With that, the building itself will be about 32 feet tall, substantially shorter than the transfer building that's there today, all within the underlying I-2 zone. There are no residential properties abutting. Everything around this site is in the I-2 zone. So we hope that, I'm trying to keep this as simple as I can because I believe it's a relatively simple application. But I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and I'm sure Mr. Moore, I believe, is here from Regional Water Authority, and he may have some comments as well. But that
Okay,
concludes my
thank you.
presentation.
Quickly with staff, DEP, they're all right with what he mentioned?
Yeah, since it's in the aquifer protection area, it was forwarded through DEP. They had some concerns about, as Ryan stated, contamination. Really, I agree with Ryan. The roof runoff going into a dry well, not an
Not a
issue
big deal.
whatsoever. The bigger issue would be that catch basin for the actual parking lot itself. Really should he's suggesting to daylight, basically, so it'll go to grade. That way, if there was a contaminant that was in the parking lot in the paved area.
Understood. Are they
someone's-
okay with it? I mean,
They're
I know
okay
you're-
with it.
Okay, that's all I
With
wanted to
those,
know.
with those modifications.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Any other commission members with questions? Mr. Mercado?
So there's no cardboard stored outside or anything?
Right now, there's a hoop house. I didn't mention this before, but there's a mafia block area with a temporary canopy over it where the cardboard is stored in a
And it's
loose.
stored there already, and
It just comes in loose, stays there loose, and leaves loose.
so no changes?
Other than it going in here and getting compacted.
Yeah,
Yep.
thank you.
Ms. Downs?
Is there any water or anything when they compact it? What's the process?
Just a machine
Yeah.
that compacts it.
Okay.
You have similar scale, similar operations at grocery stores, although this is going to be a much larger compactor. That it needs a building this large, but it's other than squeezing it. There's no other additives.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Natale?
No other needs for parking, same employees, same everything that's going on there?
Same everything.
Mr. Caderas?
How much will it be compacted? What's the ratio? The bags?
I don't know the answer to that. It'll be a lot better. Right now, it's very inefficient to be transporting loose cardboard to a larger facility,
Factor 2, 3, 4.
probably 10. That's a guess.
Mr. Mercado?
Does it get wrapped with anything after it's compacted?
Sure
Is there
it
any
does.
kind of
I don't know
glue
the
or-
answer to that. I would think so.
I think
would
it's in
think
the
so.
compacted and it gets all wrapped
It's
in
get
the,
wrapped and then it
because
just-
otherwise it would just come back
Yeah, it
apart,
would just
so.
fall apart.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone from the public wishing to ask questions on this? No? Okay. You're all set. I'm going to close public hearing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Number 2, application for subdivision on behalf of Ridgewood Properties LLC, requesting a 2-lot subdivision property at 140 Willow Street. Can we hear the call for that, please?
Application for a subdivision on behalf of Ridgewood Properties LLC. Applicant is requesting a 2-lot subdivision at the property located at 140 Willow Street, Assessors Map 56, Lot 204, Zoned R20.
Thank you. And representing the applicant? Mr. Bowman? Mr. Bowman has returned.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Todd Ritchie. I'm a licensed professional engineer with SLR. I'm just getting my computer set up. I'll be 1 second. Is there something that I have to press? Special button. I have a board just in case, but I'll just see what happens. Doesn't like me.
It takes about like 2 minutes sometimes.
Oh, boy. All right, well, I'll send the board. I thought I was going to show Ryan up for a minute there, but that didn't happen, so.
Going back old school.
Anyways, back to paper. The property is located, or actually, I'm representing the applicant Ridgewood Properties LLC for the proposed rear lot subdivision at 140 Willow Street. The property is located east of Willow Street, just south of Spring Street. It consists of 1.56 acres. The town GIS has it incorrect at 1.15 acres, and it's located in the R20 zone. Let me just check this. No, it's not gonna work. It's currently served by public water supply and municipal sanitary sewer. The topography of the site is, the highest point is up in this area here on the north property line, and the lowest point is right at Willow Street. The elevation changes about 20 feet vertical between those 2 points. There's wetlands along the southern portion of the property through here. It's a drainage corridor. The water course, let's see, overland drainage occurs in this direction towards this intermittent water course. And then drainage enters a piped culvert at this location right here and comes out to Willow Street, crosses Willow Street, and discharges on the west side of Willow Street. The application includes the proposed subdivision of the existing 1.56 acre property into 2 lots. So lot 1 would be 0.733 acres, and that's the frontage lot here. And lot 2, which is the rear lot, which is 0.826 acres. Right now, there's a existing house on the property, and it has a detached garage. It's too bad I don't have that. And the garage, detached garage, and the house, portion of the house are currently over top of that drainage pipe, which is a town pipe. So the town engineer, under our previous application for the Wetlands Commission, requested that we're proposing to remove those structures permanently from being over top of the pipe, and which includes the garage and a portion of the house, and giving an easement to the town for future maintenance of that pipe. There's a proposed, in this case, there's a proposed access way, which is a required 50-foot minimum, and a 15-foot paved driveway to a 50-foot diameter turnaround, and that will serve both lots with a driveway to the single-family home location on the second rear lot, and a parking area to the rear of the existing residence to remain, slightly smaller. For
Can I ask a
drainage-
question about that?
Yeah.
Just quick.
Sure.
How do you get away with that and keeping the original lot the same? and then having your 50-foot access way.
Under the requirements, we have to meet the requirements for the frontage of the original lot, but this is an easement. So it's part of lot,
That's okay in our
We've allowed that.
rear
yes.
lot?
part of lot
You've
one.
allowed that in the past, and so,
Yeah?
go ahead.
Yes. And then we have stormwater management system that collects runoff from the paved driveway and the paved shared access driveway, and also the parking area behind the existing house to remain. It's an underground infiltration system. It's been designed, and the design has been reviewed by the town engineer. We received comments previously and an approval letter for the plans. Lastly, as I mentioned, we submitted a permit application for the proposed subdivision to inland wetlands, and the same plans submitted to you. And they were approved on July 15th, 2025 at their meeting. And also we submitted the required feasibility application to the WPCA, and that was also approved at WPCA meeting on July 24th, 2025. And that's all I have. If you have any questions, I apologize. Next time I make sure that works before I had some good graphics. But.
I guess my only question is, I always assumed you had to have the lot frontage and then the extra 50 feet.
Yeah, your regs
The
don't.
regs, they're,
That's a conversation for our reg workshop, yes.
okay.
As I stated, that rear lot section really needs to be cleaned up.
Yeah, because I've heard, I know personally that I had to go to appeals one time to get something like that, when I didn't have to. Live and learn. Okay, I saw Bricado first, then Natali.
Is this the same property owners between both parties? They're just subdividing it, or are they selling it?
Same property owners.
And that front house, is that going to be a rental house, or are they?
They haven't made a determination.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Natali.
Like, what zone is this?
It's R20.
Todd's got that for me.
Mr. Bowman.
Sorry.
It says here, an apparent encroachment, has that been taken care of?
Not yet, but it will be. It's a small shed that can be relocated.
Okay, so that's the shed that's gonna be,
It's right on the property line, correct, and it will be yes. And that can be a condition of the approval.
so this is going to end up from one lot to two lots?
Correct,
One lot is the existing house, and one lot is the rear lot?
correct.
Yep.
And just to, again, reiterate, there's two easements proposed. One easement is for access, which is the minimum 50-foot wide access that includes the paved driveway, and it actually becomes wider than 50 feet for the 50-foot paved turnaround through this area. So it kind of goes like this, bumps out a little bit, comes back around and ties back in. And then there's I think it's 25-foot drainage easement just centered on the drainage pipe that will be for the town, in favor of the town.
Any other questions by commission members?
No, other than I know that that basement in the original house is flooded on numerous occasions. And you're planning on putting your drainage underneath the new
Driveway, correct.
driveway?
Yes. We did do on-site testing, infiltration testing, and
I
test
think, is
pits.
that foundation in the existing house, is that cinder block?
I don't know.
We need, if you can answer a question, you need any name and address for the record.
Name is Michael Diedzik, and 60 Marcy Drive, Southington. The part of the portion of the house that's going to exist is concrete, and the part of the house that will be removed was cinder block.
Is cinder block.
Yes, the part that's going to be demoed.
So is the existing garage being demoed also?
Correct. It's a detached garage that's dilapidated, housing raccoons.
And there's no drainage there now, it just ends at your
You've got a,
back property line? The existing brook goes to
you've got some
nothing?
sort of,
There's an open channel that
yeah.
traverses the property, as do.
Not that way, towards Willow?
Oh, towards Willow, there's no open channel.
Okay.
That's a pipe, that's
So
a
you're
pipe.
taking that water and putting it out to,
We're taking the water from the drive, all
back of the
all
lot.
the impervious, putting it into the underground system, and ultimately, the system has a controlled outlet into the,
So just for the impervious is the drainage.
yes, that's all that's required under the analysis and also for water quality.
All right, what about the intermittent, is it an intermittent?
That will
stream?
Says existing
maintain,
brook.
the flow will be maintained as it is.
So it just stops?
under the driveway?
No. There's a 18-inch RCP culvert that goes underneath, that goes from right about here, that's buried, that goes under the garage and house now, over to this point.
Oh, it's existing.
It's existing, correct,
Sorry.
sorry. And that's why that, there's no existing easement associated with that could be found by the town staff. So that's why the 25-foot easement for that existing drainage pipe was requested by the town.
It's basically to clean up what's out there, the infrastructure that's there.
I'm sorry?
It's clean, the intent of Merrick's request for the easement for the drainage feature is basically clean up what's out there. So you already have a intermittent stream that goes into a culvert to a closed system. This will give us legal access now too to that system, which we already technically own.
So do you know the condition of that 18-inch existing pipe?
We did not camera the pipe, but looking at both ends of it and looking into it from the upstream end, it looks to be in good condition.
I think you should camera it. I think it needs to be cambered. I think my knowledge of the area, knowing that that basement has flooded before, because I knew two previous owners, I think that it should be cambered to be sure that, because it's going under the house, that it's in good condition.
Well, it won't be under the, I agree, it could be and should be cambered regardless, but the house is actually being removed from it. So it will no longer be under the house, but it is in close proximity to the house still.
Yeah.
So nonetheless,
And it is
yeah.
a cinder block foundation.
Well, the remaining foundation, I'm told, will be concrete, not it's the cinder block foundation that's being removed. Again, for clarification, I understand your point, and that, we accept that comment.
So probably, most likely will occur when that portion of the house is demolished, when they get their demo permit from the building department and permit for new construction, the engineering department will be involved. They'll be out inspecting and supervising the work to make sure that the existing pipe isn't compromised by these activities. That's the biggest concern that could occur, is
Or
that they go out
compromised,
they go out to do any kind of modifications and they damage that pipe. So,
And I would imagine that they would probably want a
They're gonna-
camera inspection after the work is done.
correct, and they'll also require that the contractor's gonna be bonded and licensed, so therefore, they're gonna be insured where the pipe will be protected in that sense.
Mr. Burkett?
The part of the house that's being demolished, was that an add-on to the original house, and that's why it's cinder block and the rest of it is concrete foundation?
Mike Dietzick. To our knowledge, the original part that's going to be demoed actually was the original garage. That's what it looks like, that they finished to make it a living room, and then they added the detached garage. So now we're going to be removing both garages.
Mr. Natale?
Any comments on the fire department as far as the rear lot goes?
It meets your regs. There's no issues with this one.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners with question? Okay, anyone from the public wishing to ask a question on this? No? All right, with that, I'll also be closing this public hearing. Thank you. Moving on, number 3, application of special permit on behalf of Antonio Cassisi, requesting special permit, section 30, Schedule A, number 46, zoning regulations for a spa and wellness facility at 830 South Main Street. Can I hear the call for that, please?
Application for a special permit on behalf of Antonio Cassisi, the applicant. Applicant is requesting a special permit pursuant to Section 30, Schedule A, number 46 of the zoning regulations for a spa and wellness facility located at 830 South Main Street, Assessors Map 78, Lot 110, Zone C3.
Thank you. And representing the applicant?
Good evening, my name's Carmela Valentino. I'm here on behalf of the landlord, the owner of the property, rather, Antonio Cassisi, and the business owner, to be hopefully the business owner that would like to go there, Jen Robinson. The facility that she would like to put in is your basic medical aesthetics business, where they do laser hair removal,
Can you just pull that mic down a little bit? It's
Sure,
having-
sorry.
That's okay.
Laser hair removal, medical weight loss with injections, medical aesthetics, and the likes of the such. She currently operates a business on the Hamden, Cheshire line and would like to move to Cheshire.
And this is Bavano's building, right? Is that?
That's correct.
Yes, yep.
So this
Does
is
everything meet,
It's
Our
specially
standards.
permitted in the zoning regulations, the zoning district, everything, there's no exterior improvements being proposed for this change of use. It is a change of use, but because it's a special permit, that's the only reason why they're here. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward, parking, et cetera, is supported there. They just repaved the lot over there, so it's not the moon craters that it used to be back there.
is this the one all the way in the back?
No,
this-
this
No.
would be the building behind the old Sweet Claus where, be the gift shop, is it the gift shop?
Yeah, mhm. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Mercado?
And this is a relocation of an existing business?
Yes, she has to actually be out of her lease. She's done today. So I think she's really eager to make sure like we get the permit and start the whole interior building process. But yes, she's an existing building. She's been in business many years.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Natale?
So you mentioned that there's going to be injections for weight loss or other things. Any stipulations, Chester need to get involved as far as disposal of, with the injections, I don't know if it's needles or,
My understanding is she already did, she's already been in touch with the Board of Health for the town of Cheshire. But it's a med spa, so I can't really comment on.
Yeah, so she's already reached out to Chespercott, Building Department, Fire Marshal. She's
Yeah.
going through the whole
Gamut.
process with us. So this was just one of the many stops that she got a civics lesson with.
gotcha, so Chesapeake, if they have concerns or anything
It's
about
gonna be more
any
of a
kind
Chesapeake
technical
issue.
medical waste or anything that would handle it?
She's going to be licensed by them, inspected by them. So yeah, they're going to handle that.
Thank you.
EJ? Mrs. Downs? Sorry.
How about signage?
We haven't, as far as what, how she'll put signage up? She'll have to go through a sign permit, the sign permitting process.
So that'll be,
So she's going to go through the sign permit process, which maybe if it's an exact replacement of what was there for the gift shop,
Yeah.
like to like. If there's substantial changes, they may come in for a plan for the entire plaza. At this point, we're just assuming it's like to like. We'll cross that bridge when she gets into the building. Really, she needs her building permit to get going, and this is one of the steps she needs.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Selma?
Just a quick question. I see property size 22. Are you taking up the whole Bavano building or half? or-
No. She's taking up, I don't know the the square
I was
footage.
just curious.
She's taking up kind of where the red door gift shop was.
Okay. all right.
It's not the whole building.
Yeah, I was
at
just
all.
curious.
Yeah.
And the parking is adequate and everything else, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of parking there.
Yeah, good.
I have the spaces.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone from the public wishing to speak on this application? Nope. Okay, I'm also going to close this public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Moving on, continuation of public hearing for Hydronics LLC. Can you read the call for that, please?
Petition for a zone text amendment on behalf of Hydroclonics LLC, Specialty Growers Realty LLC. Applicant is requesting an amendment to Section 30, Schedule A, 75-7, Section 26, and Section 31.
And representing the applicant?
Good evening. Sorry, Ryan Hoyler, here for the applicant, Hydrocolonics LLC. Like last time, I have hard copy printouts of everything that we've provided, if it'd be okay to hand them out again. It's a copy of the updated regulations, the letter I sent in a couple weeks ago responding to comments from the last hearing, as well as some DCP guidance and a copy of tonight's PowerPoint presentation. Thank you.
Just for the record, I wanted to note that I did watch the video from the last meeting when I was not here, so I'm all caught up to date. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just another quick question, sir. What you're handing out, is that different from the one we got last time, or?
Yes, so since last time, based on some of the comments we received from this commission, we have updated the draft zoning regulations to try to limit both the locations where it could be potentially permitted, as well as to enhance the safety, security, and odor features of the regulations. In the packet, in tab 1, you will see my letter responding to a number of your questions from last time. I'm going to go through that tonight.
Do we all get it?
Of course, I apologize. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm not getting it, never mind.
Getting a bit ahead of myself here, so.
Can't read anyway.
And you're going to go through all the changes and, okay.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a lot to digest in one
There are a
night.
number of changes. We tried to really respond to the comments that we had from the commission last time. We understood some serious concerns you had, and we believe we've addressed those. Just to quickly go through the packet, and then I'm going to turn to my presentation here. As I noted at tab 1, you have my letter from last time. I'll be going through that, so you don't have to read through everything. We have the amended text changes that we've proposed in tab 2. Specifically starting on page 3, you'll see all the red lines, which is the new information we've added. I've also provided a number of documents from the Department of Consumer Protection that I'll provide summaries of. I obviously don't expect you to read every page of them. They're quite a lot. But the point is, in those documents, to show how much the DCP regulates cultivators, specifically with respect to safety and security procedures. So I'll be highlighting some of that. And then finally, I've included a copy of the most recent public act that changed the regulations in such a way that permits cultivation outside of DIA zones. With me tonight, I also have some additional team members that I would like to have speak briefly because they have some real life experience with cannabis, particularly cannabis cultivation and the cannabis market. And I think they can explain to you a lot more how the state regulations work and how it would be regulated by the state at this local level. Specifically, I have with me Tiana Hercules, who is a former city councilwoman in the city of Hartford and an entrepreneur who currently holds a license. And if this zone text amendment were passed, would be the licensee who would be applying with Mr. Smith to use the proposed property in the industrial park off of Diana Court. I also have Paul Travaglino, apologies, who runs a cultivation facility here in Connecticut and can speak to the safety and security measures that he has to abide by with the DCP, as well as some of the odor mitigation techniques that he uses to mitigate the odor and ensure that it's not a nuisance for the neighbors. I also have John Sema, who's here with us tonight from Hydrodynamic Engineering, LLC. They're a local company. He works with Mr. Smith and has proposed to put the geothermal system in his facility and would be able to explain to you how that would work, how the odor mitigation would work. Additionally, with us tonight, we have CJ Spinelli and John Morris, who are friends of Brandt's, potential investors in this, and may be able to speak to some concerns you have as well. I want to start with the changes that we made to the zoning regulations. We're here again tonight to permit cannabis cultivation and micro-cultivation in industrial zoned areas. I want to reiterate again, this is not an application to permit the sale of cannabis in the town of Cheshire. There would be no medical sales, there would be no hybrid sales, there would be no medicinal sales. This is solely for cultivation. Those plants cultivated would be transferred through the extensively documented seed to sale system that the DCP requires, where effectively every leaf of the marijuana that would be grown on the site is tracked and accounted for. And Mr. Travaglino would be able to speak to how that works at his facility and exactly how stringent those requirements are. I also want to emphasize that what is already happening is that Mr. Smith is growing hemp on his property on Diana Court. He is permitted to do so under your zoning regulations to grow that hemp. The plant that he would be growing under these cannabis regulations is the exact same plant. The only difference is the THC percentage in the end result of the plant. So effectively, Mr. Smith is already growing the cannabis plant here in town. These regulations would permit you to control that business and regulate it via the special permit process. Right now, there aren't odor mitigation measures in place. These text amendments would require those kind of odor mitigation measures that the DCP requires. And finally, you do have comprehensive zoning regulations on cannabis. However, in your prohibition on cannabis, while there's a prohibition on cultivation, there's not a specific prohibition on micro-cultivation. These regulations would help clear up any potential ambiguity there. I understand, what I understand is that the prohibition on cultivation prohibits all cultivation. Nonetheless, we do believe that these regulations would help clear up any potential ambiguity there. Mr. Glidden, if you could go to the next slide. Thank you so much. We have amended the regulations in a number of ways. First, we have provided on page 4 of the regulations significantly greater, apologies.
There might be questions I just.
Oh, of course,
A
yes.
quick question. So you're saying that Mr. Smith would partner, I'm sorry, with, what was?
Ms. Hercules, yes.
Ms. Hercules. At the last meeting, I thought you said that because he was a current hemp grower, he could not partner, and it would be the actual owner of the property, not Mr. Smith. So you keep saying Mr. Smith is going to partner, and Mr. Smith is going to grow, but that contradicts what you said the last meeting.
I should clarify that. Partner is the wrong word. Mr. Smith owns the property. He is currently growing hemp. The way the regulations work are that he would be able to lease out his facility to Ms. Hercules and her partner, who would then grow cannabis at that facility under Ms. Hercules' license.
So everything that you just stated is wrong then, because you just kept saying Mr. Smith is going to grow.
Well, it would continue to, cannabis would be continued to grow on the property. I don't know that everything I just said is wrong.
Well, you said Mr. Smith is going to grow it. I mean,
Well, it would be grown on Mr. Smith's property. I apologize, I should clarify that. It would be grown on Mr. Smith's property. Cannabis would continue to be grown there under the DCP license that Ms. Hercules holds, where she would partner with a third party and Mr. Smith would lease the land to them to continue growing cannabis.
so again, you're saying now it's a third party, but 2 minutes ago you said that you'd be partnering with Mr. Smith.
I clarified that when you called me out on it. You were correct. I misstated that. She would be partnering with, I believe, a third party, equity investors. She would hold the license. She would be the
Could
one.
I just interrupt this?
Yes.
We're doing a text amendment application, so I don't want to, we're going down a road a little too far off the subject. No, I understand.
Understood.
I agree, to clarify that, but you're just really looking at amendments to the zoning regulations, should not be applicant-specific. So,
Thank you. I
try-
appreciate
Ryan,
that.
try to limit
Yes.
that.
Yes, thank you.
And again, I'll apologize for that. I'm just addressing what was stated. That's all.
Understood, and I appreciate that. I will try not to misstate anything again. Yes.
With hemp growing, does DCP have any control of that? Who monitors that there's not cannabis being grown there? And can he grow hemp on that full piece of property and just not doing that at this time?
Hemp is regulated by the Department of Agriculture. It's not regulated by the DCP. The Department of Agriculture is the one that checks and regulates to make sure that the grown hemp product does not exceed the 0.3% THC limit. So it is the Department of Agriculture, the Connecticut Department of Agriculture, that regulates all of that. Sorry?
Where is that tested?
Oh,
At
so
what time during the process?
the Department of Agriculture licenses laboratories across the state. I don't know the addresses of the laboratories off the top of my head. I could find them out if you would like. But they are licensed by the Department of Agriculture, audited by the Department of Agriculture, and the hemp is
I
tested
just
there.
meant where do they actually, not do the test, but do they take the samples from shipments? They take the samples in the greenhouses? Do they monitor the plants that are in the greenhouses or outside the greenhouses?
My understanding is that the Department of Agriculture takes samples of the final grown product. They have guidelines that if you have some plants that are 0.4% and some that are 0.2%, you can mix them together to get to 0.3. So they test the final product in the end for the 0.3%. I do believe he could probably expand his farming on the property. I don't know exactly off the top of my head the total square footage that he could grow hemp on, but it's regulated as farming and agriculture, so yes, he could theoretically grow more on that property than he is now. Turning back to the amendments, we have added in a number of the security features. If you turn to the bottom of the third page and the top of the fourth page of the second tab, we've added in a number of security requirements, including that any applicant under these zoning regulations would have to comply with the DCP security requirements, which would include, at a minimum, perimeter fencing around the facility used, security cameras with real-time monitoring, watching all points of ingress and egress into the structures, structures for cultivation equipped with alarms on all doors and windows, all points of ingress and egress, controlled access entry to any cannabis growing areas or cannabis storage areas. Additionally, under the DCP requirements that any applicant would need to follow in order to get a license from the DCP, they also have to have things like redundancy systems in place. For example, if the alarm system goes out, if the power goes out, they need to have a backup generator in place to be able to have an alarm and monitoring system in case of power outages. They also have to have motion detectors to ensure that if any of the alarms do not go off for some reason, the motion detectors will if someone tries to enter the facility. They are very highly regulated at the DCP level. I don't expect anyone to go through all of tab 3, which is the DCP regulations, but just to note, there are over 6 pages of regulations on minimum security requirements and additional pages on minimum security procedures, starting at page 12 of tab 3. I don't expect you to go through all of those, but they do include the types of things that we have here, like the perimeter fencing, like motion detectors, video surveillance, audible security alarms, alarms that are linked directly to the police department, items like that. Mr. Travaglino would also be able to speak briefly to how that works at his facility and the intense security measures that he has to go through at his facility. In addition,
We have another question.
Yes.
So I know you're jumping ahead, so I want to go back to the odor control plan.
Of course.
The second bullet requirement that the applicant have access to an olfactometer. So that's great. Town says measure it. There's no measure. So how do we, and this may be a question for staff, what reading is bad, what reading is good? It's great that they're going to give us something, but great. What happens?
Without any sort of measurable parameters, really from a staff perspective, I can't enforce that.
Right, so they can give you a
So
reading
it's
that's off the
really-
scale or nothing, and we can't.
It's very discretionary.
So to clarify, one of the questions we were asked last time was whether there was a device that would be able to measure whether there is any odor emitting from the facility. That's exactly what an olfactometer does.
Okay.
There are a number of different types of olfactometers. Depending on the type of olfactometer you use, it would change the criteria you're looking at. So we would be happy to work with staff to develop what that minimum criteria would be based on the type of olfactometer that is used. But yes, you can do objective measurements of odor emanating from a facility to determine if there is any odor emanating.
So
from
again,
it.
you're looking for a zone change, the zone text changed. Even if there's a minimum criteria, what are the teeth behind it if there's a violation? Do you shut down? Do we have the power to do anything with that? Or is it just, again, here's your reading?
So that would be the type of thing that could be included in conditions of approval for a special permit. Additionally, again, we would be happy to work with staff to develop criteria. Apologies, Mr. Glidden.
So as your staff, I would say I want it in the regulations.
Yes.
What's a violation, what's not. Without that, there is no teeth for my office to do any enforcement whatsoever on a complaint. It's too open-ended, too discretionary, and that is not, you know, it's going to be tough. For example, if we were to take an enforcement action on a facility that was in quote-unquote violation, one issue that would pop up, the first thing the judge would say is, what regulations are they violating? This regulation does not say what's a violation, what's not. It just says, use a device to determine that.
Yep. And then that has to go through the courts if you do a
That goes to
violation.
the
You
court.
You can't slap a sticker saying you're shut down until it goes to the
Correct.
courts.
And there's no criteria in there.
Well, if there was.
Correct.
So
We
even
would
if
have
it
to
was-
go
even
through
if
the
that was
courts, and
bulletproof.
it would be a remedy that's not, well, it exists through the courts, but it will take a long time for us to get to that point. And without really a measurable parameter to say what's in violation, what's not, you're in a real weak position declaring a violation in that sense.
Mr. Sorry.
I'm sorry, just almost done with this. So it says require the applicant to access to an olfactometer. Wouldn't the town have to have that? Or an independent party? I don't know, this one throws me a little bit because with the concerns about the odor, doesn't seem like a lot of teeth behind it.
Mr.
Yeah.
Kaderis.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be covered, though? Wouldn't the town be covered under general nuisance stat laws? That if a facility, any facility is releasing noxious odors, doesn't the town have the ability to regulate that as it is? Under nuisance theory?
You don't really, you don't have a regulation that would say it's particular violation. I would say, no, it's really gray. That would be a Jeff question, even if we have standing on that. But my professional opinion, you would want it cut and dry, black and white in your regs, what is acceptable, what is not. Like a light standard, for example. If you have a regulation that has like no objectional light, define what objectional is. If you say the lights need to be, like your regs, shielded, directed downwards so the light source isn't visible from your neighbors, then it's easy to say when you put your floodlights on your garage and they're aimed right at your neighbors, well, that's a violation of the light regs because they're supposed to be shielded and directed downward so you can't see the source of the light. So, I mean, that's the only comparison I can make to that.
Well, I think of, John, so I think of Dalton's down in Willow with a latex light, certain times of year, you know, that really smells. Like this time of year, every morning it smells, but if somebody makes a complaint, there's really nothing that can be done about it.
If I may, the town certainly does have the right to proceed against parties who are creating a nuisance. There is no doubt under the statutes that exists. However, I would confirm what Mr. Glidden says, that can take some time, and there are a bit of gray areas there. I think we'd be happy to work to try to create an objective standard here. The problem with the olfactometer is I've reviewed zoning regulations for cannabis in all states that permit it. There is not a single zoning regulation anywhere that sets that kind of objective standard because it is dependent on the type of olfactometer you ultimately end up using. So ultimately, it would better fit within conditions of a special permit, but we would be happy to commit to a type of olfactometer and work to develop objective numbers based on that. That said, Mr. Travaglino, who runs a production facility for cannabis and deals with this stuff all the time, would like to make a couple comments on this, if that's okay.
Sure, yeah, please.
Paul Travaglino. I live in Stamford. Our manufacturing facility is in South Norwalk. Norwalk had the same concern. So what they asked us to do, in really a first impression for them, because they only had retail prior to us, was to prove to them that we could mitigate the odor. So what we did was we found a Swiss company that has locations in the United States. It's a 60-year-old company that does odor mitigation across a lot of different industries, plastics, that sort of thing. And what they have are a suite of products. It's a company called CAMFIL, C-A-M-F-I-L. And I ended up speaking to their chief scientist in the United States to find out exactly what products they had that would mitigate the odor. In our case, when we're doing production of edibles, we merely need to have odor mitigation on a return air duct in the form of activated carbon. But, I mean, I could show you these, but if you were to look at all the different devices they have, you know, for something like $10,000, you could have something that's a recursive system that operates and scrubs the air before it leaves the facility. You can use MERV 9A, you can stack different kinds of filters, and the activated carbon does a wonderful job. It's not unlike what a smoker does in their house, where they put a unit and it just kind of works at the air. These are big, if I can use my hands. These are big things that are probably 6, 7 feet tall by about 3 feet by 3 feet. And basically they suck in the air, scrub it, and then cycle it either internally, or if they have to go to another unit, they can. In fact, and I think that's the process that, if I may, that you might want to go through here. If there's an ambiguity in what the standard is for smell, let a scientist, let any applicant that comes before you prove to you that they're doing what they need to do, or don't approve them. I mean, and that's kind of the way I would take it. And there's absolutely the...
Can I ask you a question about your
please.
facility? Are you an indoor grow or an outdoor grow?
I'm not a grow, I'm a manufacturer.
You're a manufacturer?
Yes, yeah, sorry.
Okay, sorry.
I have been in a number of facilities, and I've actually talked to a bunch of other cultivators about this technology. And as part of my process, I talked to some cultivators in other states to say, what are you using? How does this work? Does it really do a good job? And it does. I think.
So you would, if something like this was to be in Cheshire, you would accept the plants from that and then you package it? Is that, what do you mean by manufacturer of?
So how my license works, do you want me to speak to the seed to sell a little bit? Yeah, go ahead, please. I don't want to.
I just like,
Yeah.
sort of understand what your facility is and how there is no smell from it, and how it might work with a indoor grow or an outdoor grow that could be possible in Cheshire.
Of course. So there are different types of licenses. One of the licenses that you can obtain from the DCP is what's known as a producer or manufacturer license. A producer or a manufacturer takes the raw cannabis that would be grown on Mr. Smith's property potentially, and packages it into products. So for example, you're making a vape pen, or you're making edibles, or something like that.
A pre-rolled cigarette.
Pre-rolled joints, however you want to refer to them. He would be the one taking the raw product from Miss Hercules and converting it into those final types of products. So he's dealing with the product at its most potent, when it's been harvested at its peak and dried and cultivated in such a way that it really is its most potent. So he's dealing with the most kind of the worst types of smells that you're going to get from this, because it's the most potent product.
Yeah, if I may, we actually would, to make a pre-roll cigarette, we would have to grind the flower, which really would emanate quite a bit of scent.
When you're grinding the flower, scent ultimately is particulate matter. I don't always like to bring this up, but that's why there's lids on toilets. Because when you're smelling it, well, guess what? It's particulate matter. So when you're grinding the cannabis and you're creating a lot of dust,
Understood.
that's when the smell's at its worst.
That's also in a smaller room, not the square footage that you're growing it in, because you're only got the buds that you're dealing with. So you can do air changes really easily and mitigate that. In a huge facility that's hundreds of thousands of square feet, if not more. You could probably grow indoor, outdoor up to 500,000-600,000 square feet. You'd have to have so many of those units and so big to get the air changes to scrub that, it wouldn't be affordable.
So I don't know that anyone would be proposing anything that large necessarily, but you can absolutely, within the size of, for example, the facility that Mr. Smith has now growing hemp, you can absolutely control all that air by having controlled ingress and egress points for the air. In other words, you are force pulling in air from the outside. You're creating a negative vacuum in the building where the pressure is slightly different, so that only that air that's being filtered is coming out. Mr. Sema can speak to the exact type of filtration procedures that are used in these types of facilities because he helps build them.
Hello, John Sima, Waterbury, Connecticut. I am the Simas from town, just I didn't grow up here. Activated charcoal is really at the heart of this filtration system. Because we would be doing a forced air geothermal system, that unit has to have a filter on it, nothing more than what's called a MERV 8. Doesn't stop too much particulate matter, but that would have an activated charcoal filter, pre-filter onto that. So all the conditions air in that space is going to go through that pre-treat of activated charcoal. In addition, we have designed energy recovery ventilators for the facility. Normally, in commercial HVAC design, ERVs and HRVs are used to bring in oxygen so that people within a public building like this don't run out of air. Our problem in a greenhouse is actually inversed. The plants produce so much O2 that they end up exhausting the CO2 they need to breathe. So these ERVs and HRVs on the building are going to be bringing in fresh air to replenish the CO2 for the plants. That now requires us to exhaust air. Otherwise, we would pressurize the building, and that's a big no-no in HVAC. So the exhaust air is going to go through an additional activated charcoal filter, substantially larger, and the charcoal in these canisters has been developed to have more available surface area than the type of activated charcoal you and I might see in our little room air cleaner that we have in our bedrooms or in our living rooms. And then lastly, as a guarantee that we're not going to be offensive to anyone, I have sized ozonators to the CFM values of those ERVs. So also on the exhaust, prior to it leaving the building, after the charcoal, before it leaves the building, that air is going to be inundated with O3. Some people might be a little bit scared about ozone because we get those high ozone warnings in the summertime. This will be exhausted in accordance with the International Building Code and the International Mechanical Code to keep that ozone away from people and up above and diluted into the air. Ozone kills everything, all odor. I can't tell you how many houses we have gone in that have been previously owned by a hoarder, and cat urine, dog urine, human feces, it destroys all those odors. And any moisture in the air also turns into hydrogen peroxide, and that further sanitizes and deodorizes the air.
I want a question too. Can I ask
Wholeheartedly
you a question
agree
first?
that space scrubbers will be needed in the areas of the greenhouse that are not directly containing cannabis, because employees are going to be entering and exiting those rooms periodically, which will then allow that aroma to make its way into the non-grow areas. And then you have the potential of it going right out the roof. So having the standalone scrubbers in those areas would help mitigate that odor from wafting out of the grow rooms and then out the roof of a greenhouse. Because let's face it, a greenhouse is not built to the same standards as a home or a commercial building.
That leads me to my question that I've had this whole time. How are you going to vent the greenhouse? I mean, sunlight comes through. If you're staying in a greenhouse, if it has no heat and it could be the middle of winter, that greenhouse can get up to 100 degrees. Those plants will not survive.
Oh, we're heating and air conditioning with the geothermal.
Additionally,
So there's no vent on the greenhouse at all?
The ventilation on the greenhouse will be controlled by the energy recovery ventilators based on the CO2 and oxygen content of the building.
So the vents that exist there now, this might be a question for someone else, but
Yes, the
they
vents-
will be closed and permanently?
They are not inclusive of the grow area. They are no longer in need.
so
They get
effective-
abandoned, yeah, more or less.
We would be developing a new type of grow area for this with the new types of odor mitigation and things like that that we've discussed. I want to get back to Mr. Glidden's.
He has a
Of
comment
course.
too. Hold on, before he
Yes.
sits down.
You get back when I'm done.
Okay, I do want to get back to Mr. Glidden's point earlier that I don't want to get too far off base with the zone text
No,
change.
the zone text changes for a greenhouse. You're talking about indoor grow, outdoor grow. I remember what they said. They greenhouses were not part of, they were not considered indoor grow. And then, but the state, if Cheshire allows for an outdoor grow, but greenhouse was not under there. I just want you guys to define.
Of course.
You can't just go to a greenhouse and have this system because you'd have to, you got to enclose the air somehow.
Of course, it would be the type of
But
greenhouse.
Mr. Bowman wants to, he had a question too. I
Of
don't know
course.
what it was.
Sorry,
I
I don't-
interrupted, I cut him off, and I don't want him getting mad at me, so.
Chairman Kurtz?
No.
No? You don't trust me?
Do I trust you?
Yeah.
You
Well,
have,
you wanted to ask a
are
question.
you a licensed HVAC contractor?
No, but I
Then
can
I'd like
tell
to
you a
talk
little bit
to
about our
I'd
plan.
like to talk to an HVAC
Yes, sir, of
contractor.
Of course.
I'll back up.
And how many cubic feet of air can you purify in that system that you're proposing?
It actually depends on which room, but in total, 1,300. The current design is for approximately 4,000 CFM.
So 2,000 CFM is a 5-ton air conditioning unit. So that's 10 tons of air conditioning. That would go in a 4,000 square foot house twice, so an 8,000 square foot house. How large do you see these greenhouses being?
The grow rooms within the greenhouse vary in size depending on what they are doing in each of those rooms. There's the kind of, think of it as there's a nursery and then there's a geriatric ring for the plants.
So you have the ability to scrub 8,000 CFM?
Yes,
Okay. How many cubic feet of air are going to be in this greenhouse?
significantly more.
I'm sorry?
Significantly more. Significant. We're going to have a 10
Yeah, I know.
foot, we're going to have a 10-foot ceiling height, and then you've got the square footage of the room.
So
So
you've got a 10-foot ceiling height.
And this is
And
any
how many,
greenhouse, by
how
the
many
way.
acres?
This is any greenhouse that could be,
Yeah.
you're asking your questions.
Yeah.
Not to, just as,
Yep.
because of the
So
zone
we're,
text.
we're talking about treating the air that leaves the building
I-
and having that be
get it.
odor-free.
No, I understand what you're saying completely. All right, but you're still going to have to scrub this air, not just the air that's leaving, because the air could leave at any point.
Correct.
Anytime there's an opening,
Correct.
anytime, whether it's glass or plastic, if something catastrophic happens,
Absolutely.
this air is
But I
gonna move.
just wanna remind you also,
So
this is-
I want to know how many cubic feet of air are you going to have in your growing area and production area? And how many units do you think you're going to need? And you could certainly stop employees going in and going out by going through an airlock. So you can do that.
Briefly, we're not here on a special permit application, so we don't have a site plan with greenhouses and proposed plans and everything right now.
So my question is, in
yes.
this zone, how can you have a greenhouse set up this way?
So,
Not you, anyone.
okay, yes,
that wants
of
to do
course,
it.
of course, yeah. And I think the answer to that, and it goes back to what Mr. Sima just said. I apologize for mispronouncing your name. Effectively, you have an enclosed area within the greenhouse. The in addition to the type of language, the greenhouse language, we've also now added language to say that it needs to be a greenhouse equipped with a light deprivation control system. So in other words, it's not just the type of greenhouse that anyone's going to put in their backyard with, you know, plastic panels along the side. It's going to be the type of greenhouse that you're going to have an enclosed system within that scrubs the air leaving and continues to scrub some of the air that's inside, so that when you do have those door openings and things like that, that area is scrubbed as well. But again, any application that would come before you would have to meet the odor control and security requirements and everything like that. So if someone came before you with just, I'm going to throw a greenhouse in my backyard and grow some cannabis, that wouldn't meet the criteria that we're laying out here in this proposed zone text change. Now, to clarify, because I believe the chairman may have been getting to this earlier, under the DCP regulations, growing in a greenhouse is defined as an outdoor grow. That does not mean that as the town zoning commission, you cannot further limit the type of outdoor grows that you would have. So in other words, under this proposed zone text change, the only two types of grows that would be permitted are indoor grows or grows in these types of greenhouses that are enclosed and equipped with a controlled light deprivation system, and that meet the odor control criteria that we have also laid out here. So whenever anyone did come before you with a special permit and site plan, you would then be able to do that kind of review and regulation on that specific site plan. But again, you know, this is not just designed to permit someone to throw up a greenhouse in their backyard and start growing. We're talking about professional industrial greenhouses with the type of enclosed system and odor control that we've been talking about here that would meet these criteria.
You also have leakage in any greenhouse.
No, he's talking about a control thing inside. Like if I was to do this without just come in and do it, I think I'd build a building. Why would you build a greenhouse? That's ridiculous.
That was my question, EJ, if I may.
Theoretically, it could be done indoors. I think the idea is that it's more cost effective to do it with the types of greenhouses that we're considering, but in the end, you end up with the same type of enclosed structure. You know, it would, you know, theoretically, it could be, you know, like a pop-up building or something like that could be used as well. I want to emphasize, though, that what we're trying to do here is give this commission the ability to control what's going on with grow in this town right now. You have this site that is growing hemp. It's not regulated in the ways that this zone text amendment would permit you to regulate cannabis. It doesn't have the kind of odor control measures we're talking about. This would require that.
I
believe
think
there's a question.
I think the definition of outdoor grow would have to change, because I mean, you still have hoop houses. I mean, there's no way you can get a hoop house to do what you're talking about.
I don't believe the
That's my
provided text
issue.
amendment.
Like, that's my issue with this.
Understood, Mr.
I have
Chair.
greenhouses. I know what they are. I don't understand how you could do this and change the air and keep the smell away. I don't.
Understood. Just to
And
clarify,
the
though.
fact that there's an indoor and an outdoor, and we don't allow the outdoor for a good reason, why are we going, and the greenhouse is part of the outdoor.
Could it maybe, here's food for thought for the commission. Let's first off go, are you comfortable with them within an entity using a greenhouse, a commercial greenhouse for this use?
I'm not comfortable with
So then,
it
I mean, there's-
being an outdoor grow and the indoor grow, because we do allow the indoor grow
Well,
under what the state.
And Mike, I'm not comfortable either.
well,
I've
here's
put
the
heating
first,
systems
here's the first question.
in
Like I said,
greenhouses before.
Greenhouse, yes or no on the greenhouse?
Just a regular greenhouse? No, but this doesn't sound like a regular greenhouse. It's not, it hasn't been explained to us.
EJ, if I may, because I don't have greenhouses, what's the difference between an indoor grow house and a super duper greenhouse that's sealed up, negative air pressure, blah, blah, blah?
Practically, very little.
Well, so let me, from a layman's standpoint, you have a greenhouse. And I know this is different than like a little thing you buy at Tractor Supply. They're pretty loosey-goosey with the air.
Yes, so.
So why won't you build a building and put some skylights in and call it a day?
Yeah, so the sun is the best way to grow. It's better than lights. It's better than any kind of UV lighting or whatever you can do. It's also energy efficient, as Mr. Smith just said to me. You want to have that as much outdoor window space as you can possibly have. Greenhouse really just means a building that allows light in from all the sides like that to be able to
So
grow.
how do you seal a glass dome like that? Other than something from NASA? I mean-
Mr. Smith would be happy to answer if.
Here, and again, I'm not an expert, but this is the plan, so hopefully it makes sense to you. I've run this by my greenhouse consultant, and he said makes a lot of sense. I have 40,000 square feet of grow space. I plan to make that into 10 rooms. 10 rooms that are 10 feet high, and they're all sealed. So basically, I'm having greenhouses within the greenhouse.
So to go back to Mr. Kurtz and Mr. Glidden's comment, this is a zone text change. So there's some really important definitions of indoor and outdoor grow. So would your greenhouse be considered an indoor grow?
That's up to you. I
Then
will
what-
tell you
why-
that I'm going to close all the vents. There will be no venting other than the one vent that Mr. Sima talked about. One bringing air in, one bringing air out. The other rooms are totally enclosed, and they're enclosed within the overall structure of the larger greenhouse. So I don't have to heat,
I understand this.
something 25 foot high that is huge. I don't have to air condition it, and, that's what we want to do. So it will keep the odor from going out, and it will allow us to control rooms that are approximately 4,000 square feet large,
Is
that
there
are 10
anything?
feet high.
Is there anything in this book that explains that right now?
Not right
It's
now.
a text amendment, but you can't just put greenhouse. It has to be a designed greenhouse. Exactly what you just said. I totally understand what you're saying now. But if you leave a text amendment and just say, yes, we're going to allow a greenhouse, how do we stop someone else that wants to come in here and do this?
So,
And that was why
That's why it has to be in here.
That's why I asked the question about greenhouse versus building to the commission earlier.
That's the question I asked the last meeting also.
So we tried to clarify that by increasing the type of, better way to put this. We tried to clarify that by saying that it could still be a greenhouse, but it has to be this specific type of greenhouse. Now, whether it's indoor or outdoor, I'm not really sure why that matters to this zone text change. What matters is the type of enclosure that you're comfortable with, whether
Understood.
it's a building or a certain type of greenhouse.
But you don't think that needs to be on paper? Because forget you. What about the next person that wants to come in and there's nothing that says you have to do what you might be willing to do? They can do it in a greenhouse, and it makes no sense.
I'm not sure that they would be able to do it in a greenhouse because I don't know how they would be able to meet the odor control measures that are also in the zone text change. Now, that said, we've tried to match this type of zone text change with the other zoning language that other towns here in Connecticut use. So if there's...
They don't use greenhouses.
Many of them do. There are a number of towns in Connecticut
That allow outdoor grow.
that do permit outdoor grows.
So that's all I'm trying to say is, a greenhouse is considered outdoor grow, but you want to put a greenhouse into what we're considering an indoor grow.
I don't know that that's what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is say,
Outdoor
these
grow
are the
has to be-
types of facilities in which you can grow cannabis. It doesn't necessarily matter from a zoning perspective whether it's defined as outdoor or indoor. What matters is what you're
All right, we don't
comfortable
define
with.
it, just
Yeah.
example. And I'm not against what you're trying to build
understood,
here.
yes.
Like, I think this could work. Anyone in
If-
this
if-
zone, you guys, gets a person that's gonna do this, they can open up their business, they get the license. what stops them from just using a regular greenhouse, where you guys might not, but we need to talk about the whole town?
Understood. If someone using a regular greenhouse would simply not be able to meet the odor control criteria that
So that's the
both,
only protection we have,
it would be the primary protection, yes.
which we can't.
The one we can't regulate.
We can't regulate.
I'm not sure how you wouldn't be able to
So is
regulate
this,
it, but
this type of
yes.
greenhouse, does it exist, or is this a science project?
Oh, no, I believe these types of
It
greenhouses
probably
exist.
does. I mean,
Yes.
it probably,
Yeah, they do exist.
so why just can't we put that in the regulation? That it has to be,
I would
don't call it a
suggest-
greenhouse, let's call it,
Then
I would suggest tightening up that
Yeah,
definition.
we would be happy to tighten that definition up and include more, we were trying to, we didn't want to include, for example, specific types of odor control technology because someone might come before you with something better. So we were trying to keep it in such a way that you would have the control over what the best thing to do is. If you would prefer that we have very bullet point detailed, this is the type of thing it needs to be grown in, we can absolutely do that.
wouldn't that protect us a lot more than,
It seems to me that the issue here is the building materials, whereas an indoor grow would be
a building.
would be opaque, and a outdoor grow could be just translucent. It could be plexiglass, or something of that nature. So what we're really arguing about is whether the type of material of the buildings, they're both indoor grows, they consider greenhouse outdoor grow, but if you built an entirely glass building with half-inch or 1-inch thick glass, that would be outdoor grow.
And what matters is the ingress and egress of the air, where the air is coming
No,
from.
but I'm talking about the
because-
definition of a greenhouse.
Oh, understood.
The definition of a greenhouse basically is the
Anything that's
material,
clear.
is the material, the translucent properties of the
Translucent
material you're
material.
building it with.
Yes.
And,
You could
and,
absolutely have a greenhouse that's 2-inch thick
and
glass
we could
on all
define,
sides.
so we could define a greenhouse as an indoor grow if it is covered on all four sides by translucent solid material.
You could. The DCP would consider it an outdoor grow simply because it's in a greenhouse. But what I understand your concern is, you want to be able to make sure that this is controlled and within this tight space, none of that smell's getting out, things like that. So if you just have a loosey-goosey greenhouse,
I think that's why when I say indoor grow and outdoor grow, and they consider a greenhouse an outdoor grow, because not everybody knows what a greenhouse is here, but greenhouse has to ventilate. Maybe that's why they're calling it an outdoor grow. Just have an indoor grow greenhouse and put it down in regulations so not everybody and their brother can do it.
Yeah,
There's a
you
lot
could
of
put up-
greenhouses in Cheshire.
you could put up Butler buildings or something like that and have the grow in there.
You wouldn't
and
want to do
it's-
that because you want the, I understand the sunlight.
But you
I
want the
understand that,
sunlight,
but you're not talking about, it's just the definitions get me.
You can't
Understood.
have an indoor grow with a glass building, that, as soon as it's glass or clear, it becomes a greenhouse?
Yes. So once it's glass and clear, it
Why?
becomes a
So
greenhouse.
13, what was that movie? 13 Ghosts, where the house was all glass, that's a greenhouse?
I think if the glass was translucent enough, yes, I believe it would be considered a greenhouse because it's all opaque and sunlight gets in from all sides. So again, we want to work with you. So we apologize for coming back and not having this tightened up enough. I think I misunderstood what the concern was last time about the definition between outdoor and indoor. We'd be happy to tighten this up in such a way that it describes the type of enclosed building within a greenhouse and that air can only flow out under, controlled parameters and things like that. We would be more than happy to do that. It's things that would have to happen anyway in order to get the DCP license. So it's all stuff that we would have to do anyway. Was there another question?
I appreciate you bringing them in, but I would like to speak with Mrs. Hercules
Of
if
course.
she's willing to answer a couple of questions, because I feel that she's an asset that we haven't even tapped into.
Absolutely.
And
I fully
she's
intend to.
she's the real thing.
Yes, yes.
She has the license, and ask her.
How much more of your
So
application?
I just did want to go over a couple more
Let
things.
him run through that and then.
Okay.
I don't want to jump around there.
One quick question, does Consumer Protection regulate odor at all? Do they have anything in it?
They regulate that you have to have odor control devices. They do not have an objective standard of odor leaving the building. As far as I know, there is no such thing as that kind of objective standard in any regulation for cannabis anywhere in this country.
One more question before you
Of
jump
course.
going.
And I just want to address something that was already said, not, that hasn't been done yet. So I'm trying not to concentrate on a property, but I have to address something that Mr. Smith just said. He stood up here for 3 minutes. Again, I'm confused on who this applicant is. He's saying, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna grow this, I'm gonna do that. When again, 15 minutes ago, you're saying that, no, he can't be part of this because of the hemp. Who is the applicant?
He would be doing that as the landlord. The applicant would be Miss Hercules' company and whoever she's working with.
Again, we're going
So-
the wrong direction here. We gotta stay
let's-
under the zone.
Again, I'm addressing something that was said by somebody representing the applicant. I'm just addressing that. I'm not asking to get any further in. I'm just confused based on Mr. Smith not being able to be involved in that, saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. That's it. I'm just addressing what Mr. Smith said.
I was just gonna say,
Well, then.
down
then
the road-
Table
down
it
the road-
until there's an application then, but, I'm just confused based on the statements that are being made.
Yeah, so he'd be the owner of the property, he would be the landlord. He would not be the one running the operations. He cannot. But he would be the landlord. So in a sense, it's his property that would be doing these things. I don't think that's wrong to say. I do want to, before we jump over to Ms. Hercules, go through a couple of the other changes that we made to the text amendments in response to some of your concerns. I know there was a big concern about a flood of cannabis coming into the town and the ability of the way we had written the text amendment to be applicable across the I-1 and I-2 zones, which are large portions of the town of Cheshire. We've tried to change that to mitigate it. We have amended the regulation to read that it effectively has to be within that business park off of East Johnson Avenue. It has to have frontage on East Johnson, on McCausland, on Burton, or Diana Court. Additionally, the property would have to be greater than 10 acres and would have to be a certain distance away from types of structures. Like there would have to be 1,000-foot distance between any structure used for cultivation and any structure used for residential. There is more than that distance between the existing structure on
Again,
the-
don't go there.
Yes,
Don't go there.
understood. We'd also have to have at least 1,500 feet between the structure used for cultivation and any daycare centers, schools, or nursery schools, as well as 1,500 feet from the building used for cultivation from any church or place of worship. These are standard types of regulations that are put in most of the towns that have permitted cannabis. When looked at under all of these criteria, there are approximately, I had my land use analyst at my firm look at this yesterday, approximately 7 properties within that area that this could potentially apply to. Now, in addition, in the packet you received last time were a number of letters of recommendation from the people, from many of the businesses in that industrial park, all approving this and saying that it's a good idea. So this significantly narrows the number of properties available. Additionally, I want to point out, before I jump over to anything else, that we also included at packet number, I believe it's 4, yes, is the, no, I'm sorry, that's the storage area. We included in this packet at number 6, the Q1 Cannabis 2025 report. Now, this talks about the number of licenses and the hurdles to obtaining that kind of license that are available here in the state of Connecticut. Now, if you look at, I believe it is page 12 of the report, it talks about the number of licenses issued in total so far. Now, if we go over to, there's a specific page for cultivators. If you go over to page 15, in the entire state of Connecticut, since the lottery started, there have been a total of 14 cultivator licenses issued by the DCP. There have been a total of 4, 6, they says there's 7 here, but I do believe there are 14 if you look at the next page. There are a total of 6 confirmed micro-cultivator licenses, active micro-cultivator licenses. This is not something where there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of licenses available. This report also says that of those micro-cultivators that they approved, there were 8,000 plus applicants for a total of, I believe, less than 14 total micro cultivators approved. This is not something that is going to potentially open up floodgates of having multiple properties in this town available for cannabis cultivation. Of those 7 properties that we looked at, 5 of them are developed. 2 of them, the other 2, appear to have buildings on them, although we're not 100% sure exactly what they do. But 5 of them are already developed. They're not going to be
With
transitioning
greenhouses.
to this, you know? And we're talking about less than 20 total cultivator licenses across the entire state. We're not talking about hundreds and hundreds of licenses. Additionally, there are no applications for licenses right now that are not social equity licenses. You cannot apply for a cultivator license right now from the DCP. It's simply not open, and it may not be open again, potentially ever, certainly not for some time, until they maybe decide to adjust how the market works here. But DCP has been extraordinarily conservative in issuing licenses, in making sure that the people who get the licenses have the types of odor control systems, have the types of security systems, are in the right places, have the kind of local support they need. This is not something, I understand that concern. I think coming in here with the entire I-1 and I-2 zones was too much. I agree with that. And we have really limited that here to just a couple of properties available. And practically speaking, we're here for the zone text change, but I think I can say, practically speaking, the first person who's going to apply if this comes in is going to be Ms. Hercules and under Mr. Smith's property, because they're the ones that are here now helping to put this together. There really isn't that much room for other properties here in this town to open up for this. Additionally, there are no other licenses available right now. Ms. Hercules has one and she can speak to that. And I think this is a great way to kind of convert over to having Ms. Hercules speak. But this is not something that will open floodgates, so.
I guess we have one question.
Yes.
Question for staff. If this was to go through, and there's, what is it, minimum distance of 1,500 feet between nursery schools or other schools, and a school happens to go in across the street, does that become non-conforming? Is the school not allowed because of this? How does that work?
It would become non-conforming. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was Mr. Glidden. Apologies.
Do you like my ventriloquist act? It would become non-conforming.
So it doesn't limit other businesses?
No. It would just, the issue would come up if they ever wanted to do any kind of expansion. They would be expanding a nonconformity. They would have a variance or modify the text to meet whatever that new distance is to that new school, business, nursery, church,
But we'd have to allow that.
or the zoning board of appeals.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good
Thank you for coming out. I
Yes.
really appreciate you coming out, and congratulations on your license.
Thank you, and good evening to this body. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Tiana Hercules. I'm a Hartford resident, currently a practicing attorney. I have an MBA, both from the University of Connecticut. 3 amazing kiddos, and as was stated earlier, a former city councilwoman. I've been working on getting these licenses up and running for probably the past 4.5 years. I have a provisional license to cultivate, and now that in this last session, the law was changed to allow cultivation outside of the DIA, it finally looks like I may have a path forward with my license. As you can imagine, in our very dense urban centers, finding a suitable space for cannabis cultivation is very, very difficult. I did have a grueling planning and zoning meeting in the town of Bloomfield where I finally did prevail. However, that site was formerly operated by a pharmaceutical company that left a lot of nasty stuff in the soil, and so we couldn't really move forward with those plans. And so it's really an opportunity now that the legislator has allowed cultivation outside of the DIA. And I obviously am in full agreement or full support of these text amendments, and not only because I want to move forward with my cannabis enterprises and my dreams of being part of the legally regulated industry, but I believe by legislators and decision makers and leaders such as yourselves, even when we may say we don't want to have anything to do with cannabis, the reality is that it's in our communities, right? And by adopting these types of innovative changes, you become part of the leadership that is ensuring that your constituents are consuming tested and legal cannabis. Because at the end of the day, people are consuming it in your town. Whether or not it's coming from legal means is what's up for debate. And so the way that we counteract and push against the illicit market is to ensure there are more legislated and regulated cannabis in our communities versus the illicit market. And right now we are product short in this state because we don't have enough cultivators. We have a lot of retailers. I have 2 retail licenses as well, and we don't have enough product because we don't have enough cultivation in our communities. And so I believe you all have about 300 medical patients, and so ensuring that they have a local source of their medicine, even though they're not able to purchase it here, but when they go to a dispensary, they can say, oh, this is actually grown in my town, and I know where this is coming from, and I can deal with my cancer pain or my anxiety, my depression, or whatever ailment they are dealing with. So I do think that is something to be proud of, even though I understand cannabis in and of itself is a controversial thing. I will say for myself, before becoming an adult, I really never wanted anything to do with cannabis. But during COVID, really starting to recognize the ways that many of us were dealing with our own mental health qualms, I started to really learn more about the plant and learn more about the medicinal benefits of it, and became more knowledgeable about how much better something that's grown from the ground is than something that's made in a lab to deal with depression and anxiety. And I can say it had been a game changer for me at the time as someone who doesn't consume alcohol or anything else. Cannabis really helped me be able to cope as a single parent when my kids were asking me, Mom, what is happening in the world? And so for what it's worth, I do see every day the ways that cannabis that is regulated, that is monitored and controlled, has helped a lot of folks. But on the other side of it, the business opportunity has allowed me to do a lot of great things in my community. As a criminal defense attorney, I see day in and day out people intersecting with the criminal legal system. I've been able to help over 400 people clear their criminal records in the state of Connecticut through my free pardons assistance, been able to employ many people at my retail site, and hopefully we'll be able to employ many more by having a cultivation facility. Cultivation is really where you can build up the workforce. Retail, you can probably, hire about 25, 30 on the high end, but a cultivation facility allows you to hire a lot more people who are interested in the plant, interested in working with their hands and working with things that come naturally from the earth. We've donated money to domestic violence shelters, and so working with this town, it certainly would be my business to learn about what the local community needs are and how we could be good partners with the community. So I'm here to answer, any questions that I can. I can't say I know everything, but if there's something I don't know, I certainly will make it, do my due diligence to find out the answer.
So right now, you're not operating.
No, I have a provisional license right now.
Okay, so you're not operating a facility right now. So the question
Correct.
I had for you was, what kind of operation do you run now?
Yes,
That
I
was-
currently have a provisional license, so
Okay.
because I don't have a space to.
And then
Open yet.
the other question I have is that I have a CDL license, so I can't enjoy cannabis. I can't
Yes.
do that, and or a pistol permit, right? But I'm just saying is that some of us that don't do it, I mean, it's kind of a nuisance to us because it's all around us, and then we have to deal with it. So I mean, I think there's a little bit of that. You might see a little bit of that because I mean, basically in the North End you have a bunch of trucking companies. I mean, you have Bazzuto's with 500 trucks, and all the trucks coming in and out of there. They can't do cannabis. You got Whole Foods. They're right down the street. They can't do cannabis. You got the gas company down the street. They can't do. I mean, there's a lot of trucking companies around. So I mean, I think that that's a deterrent in my mind as far as the smell and whatever. Because I mean, it's like waving a beer in front of an alcoholic. So that's my issue with it, my own personal issue. But my big thing is that the reason why I wanted you to come up is because I was hoping that you had some type of facility now that could kind of give us a little bit of advice on what's working. Because I know, like, I tow for UPS up in Watertown, and there's a huge facility up there, and you can't get within 500 feet
Exactly.
without smelling it.
Yeah, yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
You know, so like I said, and I mean, you know, I don't know how you're supposed to regulate your drivers coming in and out when the whole place smells like pot. You know, so,
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, I would submit that the current smell of the hemp facility that is there is not gonna be, it's not gonna be too much different than once it starts, or if it were able to grow the full THC, because it's the same plant. So right now, I've been to Mr. Smith's facility. For me, it doesn't, it's not, I don't smell it.
But there's 40,000 square feet of hemp growing right now in the facility.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's, so
Right.
it's not gonna change from there. But it's not adding the other, we're only doing this, we're not just doing this for him.
Right.
We're doing it for anybody else who wants to try and get. So you're telling me that you as a license holder, if a neighbor is like, oh geez, you know, I wanna open a place too, you can't get another location? Can you, with one license?
No, you can only be at one location with one license.
Okay.
As far as I know,
So you can't have
there are-
multiple locations to
Not for
get more
cultivation.
growth?
Yeah, not for cultivation. It's a $3 million application fee, significantly high barrier to entry. I don't believe the state is going to allow any more cultivation licenses, just how they had the cap on the medical and they never allowed it again.
How many cultivators are active in Connecticut? I know there's the one in Watertown, there's
there-
one in Simsbury right now?
Yeah, there's the big medical, there's original medical 4, then there's a
And that's a
fifth.
building, that's a complete
Yeah,
building, it's
so
not
there's
a greenhouse.
I wanna
And
say
same with,
se-
so what, I know Watertown's a building.
Yep.
Okay, and I know Simsbury's a building.
Simsbury's a building, too.
But
Yeah.
where's the, is there another facility that is a greenhouse in the state?
The only other outdoor grow I know of is in Litchfield County, under Rodeo Cannabis, and they are a full, like, totally, like, outdoor, like, just out in the air.
It's
type.
in Litchfield?
Yeah,
Morris.
yeah.
Oh, Morris.
Yeah, Litchfield County, right? That's Litchfield County, yeah.
But to quickly answer the question from before, I believe there are 6 active cultivator licenses and 6 active micro cultivator licenses.
Okay, so of the 6 cultivator licenses, how many have outside grow?
One.
Just one.
The Morris
One.
Yes.
One out of 6?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do they have inside grow also, or are they just
They do
100% outside?
Yes.
All outdoor.
It's like a farm, it's like a
Farm,
it's like a field.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just open air. But even though.
We're not gonna.
The happy
if-
neighbors
If we're
there.
gonna start
Yeah.
talking, we do have to get to the mic, I'm sorry.
But
It's
even
just-
though this is being defined as outdoor, like, it really is gonna be indoor.
Well, no,
because-
like I said, I'm just trying to figure out, like,
Yeah.
where do we fit in this piece of pie,
Mm-hmm.
okay? So if there's 5 out of 6 are interior in a building, right? And the one in Litchfield, I mean, that's just, you know, like Peace Loving granola bars up there. So I don't know, you know, that doesn't matter to them. But we're in a more of a manufacturing kind of community.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I think it should be in a building. I don't think it should be in a greenhouse. I think it should be in a building because you have too many things around that, you know, I mean, it's beautiful to go down the road and you see a nice greenhouse full of flowers, but I'm just saying is that I think it should be in a building. That's personally.
Absolutely understood. I want to kind of circle back to something. The idea here would be with these odor controls that are not in there now, if you didn't know what was going on in there, you wouldn't. That's the idea with these odor controls, is right now, we heard a lot of complaints from this commission last time about how you can smell it now, driving down East Johnson Avenue. With these types of odor controls that you would have in place, it would significantly decrease that existing smell. And again, if it's done right, and you have the type of enclosure within enclosure and carbon filtered air and multiple filtration systems, the idea being, if you didn't know what was going on there, you wouldn't. And that's what the end goal here is to set a system up like that.
Mr. Selma.
So the greenhouse, you have tens of thousands of square feet, or on the whole property. So you'd have these indoors, or in a tightly sealed greenhouse. He'd still be growing hemp outside of that.
No, he has to give it
No,
up.
He has
no.
to give up
Once
that.
the property is used for cannabis, it's used for cannabis.
Okay.
If
The
that,
DCP would not permit that, to
if
clarify.
that cannabis business failed, can he go back to hemp?
Theoretically, yes, I believe so, unless you changed your zoning regulations such that it became impermissible during the interim, then yes, I believe he would.
But he can also grow up to I doubt you're doing the full 750,000 square feet, but say even half of that, 500,000 square feet, he has the capability of increasing the size of this to
Theoretically.
use whatever he can legally of his property.
I
which is
believe so, yes.
Roughly 750,000 square feet.
Yeah, I mean, there may be like setbacks and things like
Right.
that he would have
That's
to
why I said
consider.
500, so-
And other zoning things, but yes, and, you know,
No
market.
setbacks.
Yeah, market-wise, I'm not really sure that the hemp market's there for that, but theoretically, yes, he could greatly expand under the existing hemp use. And again, we wanted to bring this before you to give this commission the opportunity to control this and regulate it more than what's being controlled and regulated now. And I think it sounds from the feedback we're getting tonight that there's still a little bit of work we need to do in tightening up some of these definitions. But again, you know, we want this to be something that works for the town. We want this to be something that those truckers working up there ideally wouldn't even know about, that it was there, unless they asked or someone told them. That's the idea behind this, is we want to create that type of system, and that's what the odor control measures that the DCP requires we have will help us to get to. And that's the ultimate end goal here.
But Watertown and Simsbury, where they still smell it, are inside of buildings, not even greenhouses, and they don't have to follow this DCP odor control?
They absolutely have to follow the same DCP regulations that we would have to follow.
So I can speak to the Simsbury location, as you know. The Simsbury location, at Curaleaf, that was about 68,000 square feet, the building itself, so comparable. That was it was a retrofit of an older CLMP Eversource facility. They had a charcoal filter system that's in there, and as I've stated previously to the commission, during certain weather conditions, usually when it was if the air was humid and the temperature was kind of like almost like between 40 and 50 degrees, you smelt everything outside, and it would carry throughout the area. I mean, you could be, I would say, if I distance comparison, the subject property, but I know that we're not talking about that, just the use itself would be distance, I mean, you was a couple thousand feet away from 34 Hot Meadow Street, and you smelt it. So, I mean, I could tell you that in that retrofit, that particular facility, yeah, the smells left, and they had a filtration system there, very robust system, similar to what they're describing.
I can speak to that a little bit. My partner at Robinson & Cole helped get that approved in Simsbury. They don't have an ozone type filtration system that
They do.
Mr. Sima was talking about.
They do.
I don't believe they do on their air egress.
We actually met with the neighbors at the apartment complex, and we had to do
Yes.
retrofits for that.
Okay, I can get the plans for that, and I'd be happy to provide them to you. I can also tell you that my mother lives around the corner from it. She lives in Simsbury and has for the last couple of years. Until I told her it was there, she had no idea. And she lives probably about a quarter mile away off of Route 10 to the south. So again, I'd be happy to provide you the information on their system. And, you know, we would be more than willing to put the type of system in that's more than that. But again, I think that's.
I think the big thing for the commission to remember is, one, your regulation, it's a text amendment, so let's not get too deep in the weeds on that. But the bigger thing is, what is there to protect this from becoming an issue? Meaning, do you have something measurable that you're comfortable, or staff's telling you that's comfortable to say, this is compliant with our regs, this is a violation? Because I think right now you're in a gray area where you don't really have that measurable what it is considered a violation. And the big problem from a staff perspective, this is a special permit. It's going to be a specially permitted use, meaning that is a use that's approved by the commission through a public hearing process that is similar, akin to a variance. It's permitted. It goes with that site when a special permit is issued. So if we don't have a real parameter to say what it is, then we're going through the court system to revoke a special permit, which could be long, costly, and we may not, I'm not aware of a court case to point to, and maybe the attorney could speak to that. and if this is going to be continued to another meeting, how a special permit is revoked, because in my career, I can think of several times where I had violations of special permits, and we could not get the special permit revoked through the court system. We did get violations addressed, however, that took years.
Yeah, I am not aware of cases that speak specifically to how you would revoke a special permit in this type of situation. They're usually very fact-specific and based on the conditions of the special permit. So again, I would point out that there's a lot that can be done that is site-specific that can be conditioned in the special permit. That's what the purpose of conditions to a special permit are. I would also point out that many towns and other towns that I have dealt with that have these types of cannabis regulations absolutely have language in their regulations that say if you have violated the conditions of a special permit, the town can revoke your special permit. That is absolutely something that can be a condition of approval and part of the regulations. Again, getting to that objective, how would you determine that there's been a violation? Again, that's exactly the type of thing that it would be better to be worked out in conditions because it's going to be site-specific depending on the type of air filtration system you use, the type of olfactometer that's ultimately utilized. Things like that are going to be, there's different readings that you get from this brand of olfactometer versus that brand. I'd be happy to provide that kind of information to this commission. I was concerned about overflowing you with information and giving you specific product information when really I think it should be on the type of technology and not necessarily the specific product. But there's absolutely ways to develop those kind of conditions that you would be able to condition the special permit to. The concern about there's a reason that other towns, not just in Connecticut, but across the country, don't have objective olfactometer readings in their zoning regulations. And it's because, again, that is different technology to technology, and it's because they conditioned that type of thing when they grant a special permit. And that's really the purpose of a special permit, is you are able to grant a special permit with conditions that the applicant would have to follow. And you definitely would have the ability to revoke a special permit if those conditions are not followed.
Of all the 6 people that have this app, that have it.
Sean,
Oh,
I got,
sorry.
we're trying to keep on just a little order here, okay? I got Mr. Bowman, then Mr. Kaderis, then yourself. Mr. Bowman, floor.
This is a map you provided us of the state
Yes.
regulations of what's approved and what's prohibited.
Yes,
It's prohibited in Cheshire.
correct.
You're asking for a zone tax change. What's the benefit to Cheshire to do a zone tax change for this piece of property?
Absolutely. So to be specific, it's not a zone tax change for a specific piece of property. It would apply across those zoning regulations.
I
But
understand all
understood.
that.
Yes, just,
Doing
Yep.
this zone tax change, how does it benefit the town of Cheshire?
absolutely. So I think the best answer to that is right now, you have an existing grow of the cannabis sativa plant off Diana Court that does not have a special permit. There are no odor control regulations on it. There are no security control regulations on it. By passing this, ideally, the applicant would come in and apply for the cannabis special permit from you. That's the whole point of us being here. You would then, as a commission, be able to control and regulate all of those things that are not currently controlled and regulated. You would have the power to issue conditions, to regulate whether or not it meets the odor control and security criteria, and staff would then, it would obviously be something we would have to work out how to enforce it, but then staff would also be able to much easier enforce a special permit as opposed to trying to go through those nuisance statutes that we talked about earlier. Additionally, as Ms. Hercules talked about, there are people in this town that use cannabis. I think if we did some rough numbers based on the total number of medical marijuana patients in the state, divided by the number of your population here in Cheshire, it comes out to about 300, give or take. When those people go to those dispensaries in Meriden or Hampden or any of the other towns, they're now going to be able to buy a product that they know is grown in Cheshire, that they know is grown by local people, they know is grown by people here within their community that they can trust. Additionally, the marijuana market is bigger than the hemp market. There's a lot more growth there. There's a lot more marketability and ability to make profit. This is going to be the kind of operation, if it works, that is going to grow and employ more and more people. Ideally, that will increase the number of employees that are pulled, hopefully, from the Cheshire community. In addition, there would be investment into the property that would increase its taxable base, because they're going to have to now buy and install all of these fancy air purifier systems and things like that that are going to be things that go toward the tax base of that property when you're talking about not the real property itself, but the additions to it. So, but I think the primary benefit to the town of Cheshire is the ability to control and regulate what's already happening there that is not currently controlled or regulated. This gives this commission that ability to do that.
You know, I don't think we can consider in a zone tax change the benefit to the town of increased taxes. That's something we don't take into consideration, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. On top of that, greenhouses don't pay a lot of taxes to start with. And I think we can go and look at that property that we have right now that could be compared to the area that we're talking about a zone tax change in, and see what that tax base is. And talking about installing HVAC equipment as a personal property tax, but that's depreciable, so that will go away.
That is correct. Ultimately, it would be depreciable, yes.
You know what, like I said before, I held up the map, it's prohibited in Cheshire. I don't see the benefit of it to the town of Cheshire. We're already talking, a lot of the businesses in the north end of Cheshire have been asked to take a survey to see how many people are coming into this town to work, and a lot of them are working in the greenhouse field. Not cannabis, but in the farming greenhouse market. And the state is talking about putting a bus terminal in the north end where its commuter parking lot is. And that's what the survey is for. So you're not going to employ people in Cheshire. We're already pulling those people in from out of town. And now you're going to maybe end up with where we're going to need more affordable housing, which again does not, in my opinion, benefit the town of Cheshire. It's not allowed in the town of Cheshire, and I don't think it should be allowed in the town of Cheshire. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Kaderis.
Yeah, question to staff. Can there be a regulation that for the odor control that it can't be smelled, that you can't have a smell past, like, say, 1,500 yards from the property line?
Well, that's where I'm getting with the measurable, either
Right.
something to,
So if
I mean, if I had to say what you have right now, I don't think not to quote a Bowman and say it's not ready for prime time, but, you know, I think you could improve it where it's, like I said earlier, a measurable something, either something that's measurable by the device that you're using to measure the smells, or something saying, listen, nothing showing up on the gauge when you're X feet away from the facility.
But could you have it that, put a regulation in, that the zoning officer can go up and say, within 1,000 feet or 1,500 feet of the building, that they can or can't, not detectable by their smell?
That gets really tricky and
Yeah, so-
subjective. I would prefer to keep it with like some kind of measurement, meaning, you know, if you had the device and you knew what that measurement would be for what are particulars in the air, not to exceed something at X feet, that makes that's easy to defend versus, that gets the light thing, like I said earlier.
Let me ask you a question on the odor meters, getting that. Can you have an odor meter that can approximate what a person can smell? Is there a level for that?
So it's not so much about the sensitivity of the human smell. I think it sounds to me, based on the concerns that I'm hearing from Mr. Glidden, that the better way to do something like this might be to have a base level somewhere that you take a reading outside of town hall here that, you know, on a day where you don't smell anything weird, and you say, this is what our base level is, and if it goes X percentage above that, you know, it's an issue. These types, again, depending on the type of device you buy, it's going to say there's this many volatile organic compounds in the air. There's this many of this type of volatile organic compound in the air. You can put together objective measures. It's just a matter of, it's going to change depending on the type of, you know, product you end up using. But you can absolutely put together objective numbers of, you know, this many parts per million of something
Okay.
like that.
And my question is, because I'm not a scientist, but whatever the level is, there must be a certain level that is detectable by a person.
Everyone's different, so.
Okay, within a
yes.
range, within a range.
Yes, I think
I mean,
that would
because
be.
I don't think that anybody expects it to be no smell whatsoever. But if there is, you know, no smell detectable at X number of feet, whatever with the human level can smell, let's just call it 5x.
Right.
And if it's no more than 5x, 100 or 200 or however many yards away, when you compare it with similar industrial uses in town and odors that are there, if that a level can be set, and then can you come back to us with what those numbers would be or proposed to be?
Yes, we would have to find a specific product that we would then essentially have to write into the text amendments, which is one of the reasons we tried to avoid doing this and rely on it being one of the conditions of approval. But yes, if we were to go out and choose a specific type of olfactometer product, we could draft objective measurements of X parts per million, X parts per million at X hundred feet, however you want to do it. It would just, again, we would need to have a specific product to be able to do that, but it's something that we could do, yes. Yeah, by all means.
Again, Paul Travelino. I was just looking on the website of one of the filters, and as I'm reading, there are two components here. One there are molecular filters, so they filter out molecules of a certain type. And there are also molecular meters that exist where you can put them at wherever the appropriate place is that will measure the molecular output. So I think the science can address this. I'm also going to say you can't possibly be the first town that has cared about odor, and there probably are some other municipalities across the country that have written some standards. And I don't want to speak for anyone else here, but I know I would be happy to personally look into some other examples that might fit here, because I think everybody would love to have an objective standard for this, where we know what has to be measured and it can be measured and mitigated.
Right, and I can't imagine a world where there's no odors or nothing gets emitted. You know, this town prides itself on its agriculture history, and agriculture smells, and it's just a fact. So where the issue is where the line is. That would be reasonable for that it's not a nuisance, but it's not nothing. I've lived on farms before. Spring you never wanted to go out in May when they manured the fields, because in a hot spring day with a hot moist spring day with a field full of manure, you smelled it everywhere, and the flies grew the size of your fist.
You know, there's a kind of an interesting story in Norwich. There was a cannabis cultivator that wanted to grow, and it was a dairy farmer who came and complained about the potential cannabis smell. And you can imagine the exchange that ensued about what the dairy farmer was doing. But
Again, it's absolutely something we can do. It's something that we could definitely do. We tried to avoid writing specific products into the zone text change, but it's absolutely something we can do. So, to answer that question. And I do want to just point out, Commissioner Bowman, I know you talked about bringing workers in as opposed to using local Cheshire workers. I don't know who's ultimately going to be hired, but I do know that your POCD, your Plan of Conservation and Development, speaks specifically to the north end of Cheshire being an industrial zone that prides itself on employing people not just from Cheshire, but from other towns as well. So again, we think this is something that specifically fits with the Plan of Conservation and Development that Cheshire has now by increasing the availability and the marketability of businesses in that, or at least one business in that industrial zone. So, but again, I can't promise where any specific worker will come from.
Mr. Strollo? On? Good? Mr. Mercado?
So, I live just over a mile from that location. If there's temperature inversions, or depending on the way the wind's blowing, if it's a foggy day, I smell that well over a mile, or a mile and a quarter from that location. I never really knew what it was. I mean, I knew the smell until this came up, and then I knew that there was a hemp farm there, and then it made sense. So we do smell it more than 1,500 feet away.
Oh, I don't doubt
without a problem.
Yeah.
And it's a nuisance. I know it's not poisonous, it's not bad for people, but some people can be allergic to it. That causes problems. I know it's agriculture. You're growing hemp. We can't stop that. But what's to say that all of a sudden our loonies in Hartford decide that you can grow poppies, and now we're growing another drug, or I know there's on the horizon mushrooms. I don't want that in this town. We don't need drugs in this town. I don't care whether Connecticut says it's legal or not. It's still federally illegal. So if the feds came down and said, no, you got to close it down, now what happens? Now it's another vacant lot, or it goes back to hemp, and it's not needed in this town. Also, I work right across the street. Twice now, from his facility, I've been almost run off the road. At one time, one of his employees
We can't. Listen,
pulled up. No, I can't.
This is zone.
I'm not sure
No,
what that has
so
to.
it's a zone. Is it this
nothing to do
type
with
of,
this
is it this
facility.
type of business that brings these people in out of town that behave like this? I don't know. There's also been hearsay that smokable weed, whether it's cannabis or not, or just high levels of THC, has come out of there. I don't know if that individual's been smoking. Stopped in the middle of the road, and it costed me.
I can tell you that that's not true. I don't know where that's coming from, but that's absolutely not true.
Is it regulated?
It's
Do they
not-
go in
listen,
and test
this-
those
This
plants?
is a zone change. We cannot be
I
discussing a
understand
certain
that, but
business
it's the
in town.
type of business coming into this town that I don't think we
You
need.
can talk
here.
about the type of business, but don't talk about the business that is existing, the location.
A drug business,
Well-
or growing marijuana.
Well, to be clear, it is regulated and audited by the Department of Agriculture as a hemp grower. It absolutely is. They cannot grow things that are over 0.3% THC there.
But
in the
I
end
asked
product.
earlier, when that's tested, and you said as the product leaves. What
Yes.
happens inside that facility? Is it ever tested? Do they ever go through those plants and make sure that they're not producing high THC
There
plants?
are auditing programs under the Department of Agriculture. I don't know when the last time that particular facility was audited, but there absolutely are. What I would point out with respect to the smell is this regulation is the way to stop that. That right now you have that smell.
But we have two places that we don't. I used to build clean rooms. I don't see how you're gonna stop this smell affordably. There's almost no way. And back to the smell, Mr. Simon was talking about ozone. So
Yes.
if he's dumping, if the hemp's coming up and I can smell that a mile and a quarter away, if he's doing ozone and he's saying he's gonna pipe that up high in the atmosphere, on those temperature inversion days, why is that ozone, just like on the beginning of rainy days, you smell it, can't propagate across and be dangerous that way? How's he gonna mitigate that? If you're just trading the smell of hemp or marijuana, whatever the hell it is, to ozone, you're making it worse.
So
And I don't know how quick it disperses in the atmosphere, but
it would absolutely disperse in the atmosphere to the point that it would be unsmellable within hundreds of feet, if with even in dozens of feet. I guess I'm not really entirely clear. Again, right now, it's being grown with no odor control. There are absolutely ways that you can significantly decrease the odor. And those are the types of ways that we've talked about here in this zone text change amendment. I don't know that there's a way to say that you're going to have 0 parts per billion of smell exiting the facility, but you can certainly do it in such a way that, talking about before, that you can have a baseline, that you can measure it to make sure it's not nuisance. And again, this is the solution.
But if it does become nuisance, there's nothing we can do about it.
That's absolutely not true.
Over
There are
time,
multiple things
that had
we
to go
can
to
do about
court
it.
if you have to pull a special permit? How long is that going to take?
So again, there are, and we'd be happy to write this into the zone text change, but multiple other towns that do this have provisions that say if you violate the conditions of your special permit, we can revoke your special permit.
Without going to court, we can just, okay, here's the numbers, you have, you have 3 days to reduce that number, or a day, or whatever it is, or we shut you down.
You
We
still
don't have the
have to-
power to do that.
You absolutely could revoke the special permit. It would require a public hearing, but you could do it.
Public hearing and then court,
You could also, if you are violating a specific objective number, the local health department could also issue violations that rack up to $250 a day of violation. That is not a
That's
small amount of
nothing.
money. After over a couple of weeks, you're talking many, many thousands of dollars. I just litigated one in another town that was well over $100,000.
Could I maybe interrupt, because I think, why don't we do this? We're at this point where, now, there's been comments made by the commission, and the applicants kind of addressed some of your comments. Do you want to see them tighten this reg up further, meaning let's continue the public hearing? Or are you done entertaining?
To me, it's still a legal drug federally. There's no reason that we should allow Cheshire to have that in our town. That's how I feel. I mean, if the place burnt down today, I'd be happy. It's not needed in this town.
Well, but except that every adult in this town is allowed to grow marijuana in their own house.
So,
Every adult, every household with anyone 21 or older.
Through
can grow
the
a
state.
marijuana.
I agree.
Let's focus on, we have a text amendment application before us. Do you want to see further tweaks of this text amendment, and we'll continue the public hearing, or not?
Personally, I won't be voting for this, so.
From what I heard tonight, yeah, I mean, they answered my questions on the greenhouse. I would like to, I'd like to see more of that, more teeth put in there. Get rid of the word greenhouse. I mean, it's really not a greenhouse, what you guys are talking about.
Translucent building, perhaps?
We can absolutely tighten up that language, and we'd be happy to do that.
So,
Are you doing a straw poll?
well, no, I'm just trying to get direction and maybe a little closure in the conversation, is that we're at a stage where, do you want to see certain areas for them to address? Because they've already came before you once, and then they can work on it for a future meeting. The one thing housekeeping-wise is, Brian, I'll need an extension.
Yes, of course, and would we be happy
I
to
wrote
grant
it
that?
up already
Yes, of
for
course.
you.
Well,
If you want to sign it.
That's it.
Sure, Mr. Tom.
I'll go on a limb here too. So, I was thinking about what Mr. Carderas was saying about nuisance, thinking about the latex site plant, manure, the current smell for hemp. There's nothing we can do about it. Somebody calls up and complain. There's no teeth. There's nothing that can be done currently. The olfactometer is, I mean, it's nice, but I don't see it really having an effect there. I said this at the first hearing. I said it at the second hearing. The previous hearings, I agree with Mr. Mercado. I agree with what Mr. Bowman said. I don't see this for Cheshire. And I don't want them to waste their time.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Bowman.
we also have 3 alternates here.
What do you want?
3, 6, 8, so one of which is going to have to sit in on this vote. I think they should weigh in right now on their feeling if they have received enough information also.
Okay.
Don't forget, you got to give the applicant a chance to make any further comments, but also we got to ask for public comment.
I understand it, yeah.
Thumbs up.
And ultimately, it's his decision.
You asked us to weigh in.
No, I'm way, I appreciate it. I don't want to rush things.
And ultimately, it's his decision too, if he wants to continue to go
Correct.
forward. So, I mean, it's not.
And if I briefly may, before we go to the alternates, we'd be happy to continue this. We do feel like We've gotten more feedback tonight that we can build into tightening up the definitions, as well as putting some sort of objective measure that you would be able to both measure and regulate by writing it directly into the zone text change amendments. That is something that we can absolutely do, and we'd be happy to work with you, and I'd be happy to work with Mr. Glidden if there's a possibility to work with staff to help draft that. So it's up to the commission as to how you want to continue, but we would be happy to continue the meeting and do that.
In the text amendment, I know it's opposite, I'm not voting for it, but you could put in there to say that it'll have to meet whatever's in the special permit for measuring. So you don't have to worry about what device, what the limits are, but you do call out that when it goes to special permit, if it does go to special permit, that whatever's in that special permit, you have to
want
meet
it black and white in your text.
in the text amendment. Okay.
So we would be happy to draft that in
That's
now
what
as
I would
opposed to.
prefer.
It was our intention to make it a condition, but based on the feedback we've gotten tonight, we'd be happy to draft it directly into the text amendment itself.
Mr. Bowen?
My biggest fear of this whole thing is today, we have one staff member at Planning and Zoning, one, to handle zoning enforcement, of which I would take it that if there was a violation, that's what it would be. He's also the wetlands officer. What we don't need him is in the field 24/7, trying to monitor something and getting nothing else done in this town. And I know
Understood.
that's a town problem, but
Understood, but we don't want to eat up all of your town staff's resources. We don't think that's appropriate. You have a full town to run here. Mr. Glidden has a lot on his plate. We don't want it to be that way. And we will work to amend these regulations such that he has those kind of objective guidelines and powers that he wouldn't have to spend every day out there doing this. That if he gets a complaint, then there's an objective measurement and he'd be able to react to it that way, as opposed to it being a problem every day.
Okay, it's come to my attention too that someone has brought up to me that I cannot have you guys talk from down there. You have to come up here. So it's gonna have to be, we have 8 members up here now, so anyone that wants to speak, no, I know, but they have to be one of the 9 members up here. So currently, Mr. Affey is gonna become one of the 9 members, so come on up, and you have to come up here. It's something I guess I was doing incorrectly, and I'm just correcting myself now, so.
Mr. Chairman, I count 3 hard no's. If you hit 5 hard no's, then what's the point of going forward?
I don't know, I've never done this before. This is,
Yeah,
I mean, if he wants to continue, I mean, we're not voting here.
You're not voting, but it's in
I
fairness
mean,
to them,
you're a
it's-
lawyer, I don't understand.
Well, what we're saying is that there are already 3 of the 9 members that have said no. They're going to vote no matter what. Don't know what the rest of the people's are. It sounds like you haven't had enough decision to make yourself.
No, and
if 5 members of the commission tonight say they're not going to vote for it, I wouldn't want to string them along. If it gets that, or if there are members that are still open in the.
Well, the problem I have is then it would become, the public hearing would be closed, and we would vote on the motion, and say I did want to hear some more, say, you know, I'm not opposed to not hearing any more, but I'm gonna be forced to vote no because I'm not getting the information. So if this is I'm asking you or a lawyer, is this a legal thing to do?
So basically, we're asking, you know,
Even if they want to continue
they
the
want to
public hearing?
continue, but what we're specifically asking you is, do you want more information or not? I mean, if more
Understood.
information is not going to change your mind, in fairness to the applicant, you know, you just close the hearing, vote on it, and let's move on.
And I would.
And that's legal? That's a legal way to do it? I mean, even-
Well, the people are talking with their intent of notice, so they're not talking about their vote. But if you have 5 members that say they already are hard no's, and then what's the point of going forward? If they are in fact hard no's.
Okay, I'm gonna say, I'm always willing to listen to something else. I'm gonna say I haven't heard anything so far that would make me vote yes. I'm not saying I'm a hard no, always willing to listen, but I haven't heard anything that's going to make me change my mind.
Understood. And if I may, apologies, Mr. Bowman, please.
I would like to hear more, okay? What would make me more comfortable not completely comfortable, but more comfortable, is if this was in a building, not a greenhouse, but a building where it is controllable. Your HVAC system is controllable. When you start talking about greenhouses, like I started to say before I was interrupted before, not by you, but I've put heating systems in greenhouses, in many of them in this town. And I know there is a leakage of air. So when you say greenhouse, I know that you're controlling today in a 40,000 square foot greenhouse, 400 CFM of air at 10 feet high. And that's 50 systems at 8,000 cubic feet of air a minute that it can filtrate. I understand all that. But I also understand the leakage. So if you're going to do this in an enclosed building, yes,
That's absolutely something that we can, work with my team here to help revise these amendments to make it more clear that it's going to be in a building or something that's contained. And, it sounds like a building is where we're going with this. But I'd have to talk to my team, obviously, to figure out the exact details. But yes, again, it sounds like we are getting feedback here tonight. That's stuff that we can respond to. And we would like to be able to have the chance to do that. I do understand the positions of some members of this commission. There's nothing, I understand that. But I do feel that we've received feedback tonight that I think we can work with and provide you something that would hopefully, further this discussion at least, if not, get us over the threshold.
Well, if you're going to do this work, and we're going to listen to more, something I said earlier, this zone text amendment has to have teeth in it.
Understood.
You break it, you lose. You're closed. It's not go to court. It's not go out there, have the staff go out there 15 times.
Yep.
You're done. It's got to have teeth in it.
We will absolutely, Mr. Glidden, I'd be happy to sit down with you and work out something that makes sense for your limited staff, which is effectively you, sir. So, yes.
Just make sure he does all the work and you just have to look it over.
It will be shared with the town attorney, Tim.
Common sense, right?
Okay, is there anyone in the public that wants to speak on this? I'm very sorry that,
Not you guys. Yeah, we'll speak at the end briefly.
okay. Do you want to speak? I can't tell you no, you're public.
You're welcome to. You can also speak at the end when we kind of close up, however you want to do it, Mr. Smith. It's up to you. If Mr. Smith wants to speak, I'm not gonna.
All right, well, let me, because that's more of, you're part of the application,
Yeah,
I
so
would
I don't
assume.
know if that's a member
So
of
I'm
the
gonna,
public.
yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna go to Ms. Downs and Mr. Affey.
Sure.
And then you as the
Sure, I was just going to say, I'm not strongly opposed to this at all. I'm pretty neutral on it, but I also don't want to waste your time if there's more people here that are going to be opposed to it. You've got a lot of people here, a lot of staff, and I don't want to waste your time if people are not for it. That being said, there are a lot of people here that are getting paid a lot of money, and sometimes it's easy to get swept up into, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll plant this, we'll plant that. And not so long ago, I feel like I was swept up in a building that is now half done, halfway up the highway, where we're going to plant every plant I said, and the lawyer was all, yes, we'll do this, we'll do that, and we have a half-built building. So I don't want to get swept up into multiple people here promising promises that you can't keep, or a half-done building that I'll regret that I voted for. So I have that fear that I might regret that. So I hope that promises that you're saying, all of these things that you're going to do and all the money you're going to spend is true, because I feel like I've been a little burned on a few developments here in town. So that being said, but I'm not opposed to it as some people are, just on theory or whatever.
Thank you, I appreciate that. It is certainly our goal to respond to everything that we've heard tonight and come back to you with a better text amendment based on the comments we've heard tonight. It is not our goal to leave a half-empty or half-completed building anywhere.
Mr. Raffi, you're a sitting member right now. You might not be next meeting.
Sure.
You could say whatever.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to hear more in the next meeting, and I want to commend you on an excellent job, even better than the last time. You've answered a lot of questions. And just one last thing, since I've heard it twice from the same individual, I don't think it's appropriate for any member of this commission to say that a Cheshire business should burn to the ground. It's unacceptable, and I'm not going to accept it. So, Rob, do what you want, but thank you.
Thank you.
Just one housekeeping. I just want to read in the record, Ryan Hollier, sorry, I probably butchered the last name.
That's fine, don't worry about it.
Granted the commission a 60-day extension to keep the public hearing open on behalf of Hydraulics. Text amendment application dated today. So we're good from a statutory standpoint of meeting our deadlines.
Okay. Mr. Smith, it's getting a little late. If you do want to speak, I'm not going to tell you you can't, so.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So I've tried to be quiet. I have, right? I just want to take a moment to thank each of you for some of the comments that you've made tonight and in the past. Commissioner, I'm getting all downs. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's true. Sorry. I do want to thank you for your comments in the February provisional meeting that you wanted to see the details, and I hope that that's still how you feel. Commissioner, boy, I'm losing it. But I want to appreciate your support all through this. I do appreciate that. Commissioner Bowman, I do appreciate your comments today. You said you didn't want to vote for this, and then you want to hear more now. So I appreciate that you're keeping an open mind. Okay? I do appreciate that. I also appreciate learning from you that I can farm more of my land. I didn't know that. So I appreciate you told me that a couple meetings ago. Commissioner, I know it begins with a D.
Dawson.
Dawson, I'm sorry. Sir, I respect you a lot. You won't believe how much I respect you because you are a straight shooter. I love that. And there have been comments you've made in previous meetings. I know you're not necessarily for this, but I really, really feel that by adopting this, we keep it out of the kids because there are protections so that it gets to the legal places where you need an ID, 21 and over, to get it. So honestly, I appreciate you. You're great. I'm watching all the tapes, as you know, and you got some funny comments. I will say that.
Thank you.
Chairman Kurtz, I appreciate you very much. I know you're in the agriculture business. You said 4 times at the moratorium meeting, I don't understand why cultivation's in this. And I think you're still steadfast. You want to learn more. And I think you get what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build buildings inside the greenhouse.
But you didn't answer my question from the last meeting.
Which was?
Which was what kind of greenhouse in this zone we were talking about, because indoor, outdoor, that's my biggest argument. You know as well as I am, a greenhouse, I want to know what you're talking about.
We're going to turn the greenhouse into a building.
Basically, is what it
Basically.
sounds.
Yeah, that's what
Which
we're gonna
means you
do.
should get rid of the greenhouse name.
Vice Chairman Talley, I understand your feelings at this point. I do want to thank you for your past comments when we passed the microcultivation. You actually were in support of that and actually voiced that support. I also want to appreciate when there was a vote back in June of '23 that you would consider option 2, which was everything but cultivation. And I appreciate that. Obviously, that's changed in your mind at this point, and that's fine. But in the past, you were somebody that could be convinced. And I hope when we bring more information that you get convinced again. That's all. Mr. Selmont, I appreciate you as well. You also stated at that meeting in June of '23 that you could vote for 2 or 5.
I'm the one who asked for the exemption.
You were the one that, when they voted, you said, this is everything.
Even before that, I was the one who's carved out an exemption for microcultivation.
Right, which I don't know what happened to that, honestly. I've asked several times. I don't know if you ever took it out. I was told it was taken out.
But Mr. Kurtz, can I
But I know
Yeah.
Chairman Kurtz said in February, I thought microcultivation was allowed. And this is not a germane thing.
So,
But
can
I
I
was
answer your
told-
question?
Sure. I don't know there's a question.
Well, your thought, because
Yeah.
I had the same thought at one point, but then sitting up here, I do know what happened. We originally were going to carve out an allowance, not really an exemption, but allow microcultivating, because we are an agricultural town.
And you stated that in May of '23.
That's right. However, when we had a public hearing for pot in general, we had 16, 17 people show up with a hard no, flat out, forget it. Not a single pro pot person, I think, showed up.
Can I rebut that a little bit?
Sure.
There were 17 people that testified. In your package, I wrote out each person's testimony. There are, everybody that testified was against retail sales. There was one person who was the 8th person who testified, Mr. Norris, I believe, who testified for cultivation, said it would be a good thing. We're an agricultural crown, like you say, and that it's going to get grown somewhere, and our farmers should be able to do it. 9 people testified after him. Not one of them argued with, said, no, we don't want that. If you review the paper that was in the thing, you will see that everybody testified against retail sales. It was not all of cannabis, and certainly not against cultivation. And in fact, in all these public meetings, which I've been to most of them, no one, until the last meeting, there were 2 people that came for another thing, testified at all negatively against cultivation, including tonight. So I just want to finish that. I do thank you, and I want to thank these people over here as well. Mr. Commissioner Hilsinger, you voted originally in the moratorium to allow microcultivation. Mr. Alfie, I can see you're a pretty staunch supporter of at least listening to what I'm doing. And Commissioner Blake, you asked some very insightful questions a couple times ago about the medical. And again, I want to emphasize there are things here other than reefer madness. There is medicine here. My own daughter has been affected with anxiety all her life, and she now has finally found a solution. And it's, I don't know what else to say. I honestly think that what I'm doing is a good thing. I honestly do. And I think it's a plus for the town. It's an asset. But that's going to be your decision. So that's all I have. But I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, so public hearing is continued. Do you have anything else to say? You've heard what we...
Just that we'll be back in touch. I'll try to get in touch with Mr. Glidden as soon as tomorrow, and we'll try to work out some time in the next week or so that we can sit down and put some stuff together for
Yeah,
you.
he's a busy guy, so...
Yeah, I appreciate it, again, and thank you all for your time tonight. I really do appreciate it. I know it's been a long hearing, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing. Moved by Mr. Cudero, second by Mr. Natale. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting for Wednesday, October 15th, 2025. We've did everything. I get a motion from Mr. Natale on the minutes, seconded by Mr. Selmont. The minutes of 9/24/25. Any discussion on that? Corrections, anything? No? Eight. Okay, okay, but you're still here. It's all right. Anita, I called you first, right? I need you up here now as the 9. Do you have any comments or questions on the motion of the minutes right now? All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? And abstaining? 2, so motion carries 7-0-2. Communications, let's go through these fast, right?
Yep, real quick. So first one, you have the capital improvement plan. This was approved by the town council last night. You have an updated chart, shows all the projects, values, what years they go in. This is just a 824 referral, so you have a motion would be to find that the fiscal year 2025, 2026 5-year capital plan consistent with the goals and objectives of the 2016 Plan of Conservation Development.
And is the
Moved by Mr. Kaderis, seconded by
Yes.
Mr. Bowman. Now go ahead, sorry.
in the opinion of the staff, that is consistent?
It is.
Any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Number 2.
Next one comes to you of courtesy Eversource. They got to get an easement over town property at the new Barnum Elementary School. And also, motion that the granting easement to Eversource Energy is consistent with the goals and objectives of the 2016 Plan of Conservation and Development.
Moved by Mr. Bowman, second by Mr. Kaderis. Easement over what? What is just,
It's a driveway.
Just a
It's-
driveway?
It's putting their power down.
Okay.
Which already was shown on the plans.
To the
school or crossing over?
Crossing over.
any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Number 3.
Next is from DOT. It is a easement on the corner of Harrison, Cook Hill. Basically, it's part of their signal improvements plan, that they're improving things and that they need an easement for sidewalk and pedestrian improvements. It's consistent with the goals and objectives of the 2016 Plan of Conservation Development.
Motion by Mr. Bowman, second by Mr. Natale. This just gives them blanket, whatever, they can do whatever they want. It's state anyway, so it doesn't matter.
It's a state, yeah, I
Okay.
mean, they'll come through to take it
Okay.
regardless.
Yeah, it's a
So,
mess.
there's a plan to upgrade all the traffic lights basically from the Hamden Town line to, I think it's Sandbank. That project starting is part of the phase. There's some plans that trigger some easements over town property. So that's why you see several of these. And you probably will see more in the upcoming months. This isn't this is the first batch.
Any discussion? Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Number 4.
Here's a good one. It's the development of a memorandum of understanding for a mountain bike trail on the Yankee Expressway Highlands property, or is commonly referred to the Dime Savings property, with the Connecticut New England Mountain Bike Association. They basically are creating some trails on our property. They're maintaining them. They have insurance, great group, got their wetlands permit to do all the work. It's consistent with the goals and objectives of the 2016 Plan of Conservation Development. And also, just quick, access to the property. There's a new parking lot. It's built off of Meriden Road in Wolcott. You actually access this park through Wolcott. We own, it's approximately, it's just under 310 acres that
This
are
is
up
part
there.
of the motion?
No, I'm just
Then why don't you
selling
wait?
it.
Can I
I'm
get
trying to
the-
avoid any questions. I see faces looking at me. I'm like, I'm going to answer it before you even say it.
Moved by Mr. Bowman, seconded by
can I-
Mr.
can I ask
Kaderis.
a que- can I
Mr. Glidden, now you can talk. We all got to follow the rules here.
Yeah, well, the rules were made.
Could,
No, if you want to speak, you can say it now.
Tell the people.
Are they actually a good organization?
Yeah.
Because
So
where I grew
I-
up, in Vermont, there's a place they just shut them out because they're
So
ruining the
they
wetlands,
actually
trash
have
and-
agreements with the town of Pomfret, with,
they're good.
with DEP. They manage on state property.
Okay. I
Really.
trust you.
And the vice, or the secretary lives in town. It's Francisco Perez, who serves on the Wetlands Commission.
Okay. Oh, well, that even helps. Okay, because when
So,
I was reading
direct
this,
ownership.
I'm like, they can trash wood if they're not careful.
Like,
Yeah, just full discussion. Mr. Vitale.
Just one question. It says conditionally granted this application for regulated activities at Muso View Avenue. What are they doing on Muso View?
The property has a Muso View address.
Okay, and just, I don't know if it's my place to ask or not, but has anybody consulted the people up at Muso View for, I know it's not motorbikes or anything, but
So when, this has gone through, it was been brought before the Environment Commission, before the Town Council. This has been out there for a
Was it?
while.
Okay.
It's being used.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
actually
I know.
being used right now for mountain biking.
But
This is
we-
really formalizing what's going on.
But
out
I'm just
there.
asking because we've seen
Go
other
ahead, Tom.
applications that neighbors have not been told things. I just want to make sure the people up there know.
People know. I think what the biggest problem is going to be is the neighbors that are using their ATVs on the property are going to be told to stop doing that, which will be a good thing
That's
to
good for them.
occur.
Yeah.
and that
Right
was
down the
my
line.
question, what are the other allowed uses?
Really, I mean, it's hiking and mountain biking. That's the two uses that are allowed under the management plan for that property. No operation of motorized vehicles up there, and this isn't like De Dominicus where you have the horse guard that ride their horses there. Just hikers and bikers.
So this is just a use, and if that can change at any time, like if a golf course wants to go up there with adjoining,
Well, it's town property. I
Properties.
mean, years from now, the council could say, we're gonna pursue exactly that. This particular property does not have any conservation restrictions on it like others. We purchased it through a tax foreclosure. So it's a little different than our other open space.
and if something happens up there, they start ripping up the forest or whatever, who checks that?
So we have it in the memorandum of understanding, we have yearly meetings, we have contacts, we have inspections, you know, there's a whole structure.
And they're
beyond that.
responsible for maintenance and liability and everything?
Correct, they have to carry an insurance policy, they indemnify the town so that these are their trails, they're maintaining them. If something happens, although it's our property, you're the one, it's your trail.
Do they have hours of usage? Like, can they go up there with their high beams in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, scare
Well,
the neighbors?
Parks close at dusk, so.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
so it's considered a park?
Yeah.
One question. If this was privately owned land, would it go through the same way? If I own this property and want to do this, would there be, I wouldn't have to show a plan, I wouldn't have to do anything? How come the town gets to
Oh,
skate
no,
it?
no, no, they have a plan, there's a whole.
This is just to say it's okay to have this come in, and then we're gonna see something? So a lot of these questions could be answered
Well,
at
they've
that
actually
point?
they've gotten their wetlands permit, and really, there's existing trails that are out there. They're really not, I wouldn't say establishing use that isn't already occurring on the property. Basically, they're taking the maintenance of these features, which otherwise would be Parks and Rec, DPW doing that, and they're gonna be maintaining it.
Is there buildings or sheds or anything for,
There's just a few little crossings over wetlands, like, and when I say crossings, it's like just.
A little wood thing.
forward, Yeah.
It sounds like they're improving the property too, or improving the conditions.
They'll improve the conditions and deal with some trespass issues that are out there right now.
It's like a park, like the town, right?
Yeah, the town.
It's like a
The
park.
town. So I mean, any violations or issues, criminal issues that occur out there, depending on where it's located on the property, because portion of this property is in Wolcott, portion of it's in Cheshire. So there's, like the parking lot, that's in Wolcott. That becomes a Wolcott police matter, which we've had to deal with because we had dumping out there. So,
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Number 5.
you got 1,062 square feet of land, Route 10, Country Club Road, Curve Hill Road, to be acquired from the town of Cheshire to DOT. This is just like what would happen over Cook Hill. Motion that it's.
Moved by Mr. Kaderis, seconded by Mr. Ricardo. Discussion on this? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Number 6.
Same thing, it would be 281 square feet, Route 10 and Maple Avenue and Pleasant Drive. Same part of that DOT project.
Moved by Mr. Cudera, second by Mr. Mercado. Discussion, Mr. Natale.
Where's all the money go? Each one of these has a total compensation. So the last one had 6,375. This one's got 580. Where's all the money go? Where's the money go?
I can't answer that question. I don't,
We're not supposed to worry about money.
we don't do the
Yeah,
money.
we don't worry
portion.
about money.
It's a good question for me to ask the town council.
And
That's-
the only,
That's a council question.
all these improvements, are they also future-proofing for, in the future? Like if something bigger comes around in the road there?
They're supposed, yes, the DOT is supposed to like look at it long-term.
And say,
like this
hey,
is-
maybe we'll do this later on and we should think about it? Okay.
Any other
Newington
discussion?
sometimes doesn't talk to.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Number 7.
This is a request, it's actually the town. We're extending sidewalks from the corner of East Mitchell Avenue along Highland Avenue, basically to the intersection by Chase Bank.
This is wonderful. Yeah, I agree. It's wonderful.
Moved by Mr. Cudera, seconded by Mr. Natale. Go ahead, everyone, say how great it is.
It's great.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries. All right, everyone, I'm sure is comfortable.
This, one last
Ridgewood
one.
Properties?
966 Jarvis Street. This is, we're filling in a gap of the
Oh,
sidewalks
I'm
that we
sorry.
just installed. There's a property owner that's at holdout, so we're taking it via eminent domain. So the way that process works is that two appraisals are done, average of the two appraisals, determine the fair market value of the area that they're taking.
Is this
for-
part of the motion?
Sorry. Motion is
Move.
consistent with the goals and objectives of the Plan of Conservation Development.
Thank you. Moved. No. Moved by Mr. Cudera, seconded by Mr. Bowman. Case, the floor is yours.
No,
I'm just trying to do it right so I don't get
you're right, I'm sorry.
blasted anymore.
I have real strong feelings about eminent domain.
Yeah, do we all do?
But is this for the sidewalk for the school?
Yeah, there's a gap right now. This fills the gap in.
And that wasn't thought of before any of?
No, they were holdouts.
No, I mean, the school.
Yeah, we thought about it.
Oh, yeah, no, we planned this out. This particular property owner held out, so there was the engineering department basically built the sidewalk around their property. If you drive down Jarvis Street, you could see where this gap is.
I thought the town owns that part of the road anyways.
Okay.
No?
No.
we're taking the property and we're gonna force them to shovel it?
I know that, I just.
Oh, we're connecting
I
it to the
really
school.
don't like eminent domain. I'm like-
How much property is it? Are we talking?
I-
Every,
It's not a lot.
every other one says how much it is.
Matt.
I have conflicted feelings, that's all I'm saying.
So I'm sorry, that's a
And
question.
honestly, so, I mean, just remember, you're just,
An old road or something?
is the action of extending the infrastructure of the sidewalk consistent with the goals and objectives of the Plan of Conservation
Yeah,
Development?
it is.
That's all your role.
When we approved the school. we
Yep.
talked about it.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries with one abstention.
Okay, your last one. I
Last
promise you.
one? No.
This is easement Route 10 and Weeks Road, private driveway acquired from the town of Cheshire and to DOT. This is once again related to the sidewalk improvements DOT is doing, which is part of the Signal project.
Where is this? I'm sorry.
This would be Weeks Road.
Highland School.
Highland School, sorry.
Moved by Mr. Bowman, seconded by Mr. Natale. Where is this? Highland
You know-
School. I understand now.
East
Okay.
Hartford.
God, thank you. It's late. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. All right, now, is everyone okay with Ridgewood Properties? That was voting. Can we hear the motion for that?
I'm gonna vote no, but.
Okay.
No, we gotta hear the motion first.
Let's get the motion first.
Motion to approve application for subdivision on behalf of Ridgewood Properties LLC applicants requesting a two-lot subdivision for the property located at Willow Street, Assessors Map 56, Lot 204, Zone R20. The approval is based on plans titled 140 Willow Street Rear Lot prepared by SLR Consulting with a revision date of July 11th, 2025. The commission finds based on the information provided, the applicant demonstrated compliance with the Cheshire subdivision regulations.
Move Mr. Kaderis, seconded by Mr. Natale. Case, go for it.
Say, based on rear lots, 5.5A should be avoided in new subdivisions where possible, and you'll probably see me vote no against rear lots forever.
Okay.
That in there. but-
Any other discussion?
No, I just think, I'm not crazy about this one, but it conforms. Maybe we need to look at some changes. I mean, it's the trigger, look at some changes, but.
I'd like to look at the changes too, because every time I've sat between one of these things, you need lot frontage and then you're 50 feet. I didn't know you didn't need that, because I think we've turned down applications that didn't have lot frontage and 50 feet.
We need to tighten the regs.
Yes, for sure.
Because.
But I'm gonna go by your professional opinion that this is okay, and I will
Yeah,
vote for it.
We need to
But,
tighten the regs, because I agree
because
with.
before this was not allowed.
I know, but your regs don't say that.
Okay, someone found it out.
So, part of the rear lot regs, it's unavoidable to do this, correct? That's, okay. There's enough acreage to put 2 houses on that property? Because otherwise, if it wasn't allowed, they would just have to build a nice house in back and big, long driveway.
Yep, exactly.
So now they got a nice house in back plus a rental or something, or in-law, or whatever.
Well, they can, so, just remember
There's
this.
two houses on one lot now.
They could sell the front property, or they can retain ownership, or they can rent it. They legally can rent it to a family or to up to 3 unrelateds. Although you can't regulate based on that, that's fair housing, that
Stuff.
area. But the new lot and the 2 lots meet your regs, it meets your rear lot standards, so.
There's just a ton of like little
This
nuances.
This is part of the list of things that, like I told you, I've been working on that rear lot standard. Like, I have a draft I'd like to share with you.
I would really like to kind of clamp down on shoehorning stuff into properties all over the place.
Agreed.
But in the meantime, he gets all the requirements.
Meantime, it meets your regs.
And with that said, I'll vote yes to be consistent. but-
Mr. Bowles.
You know, it does meet our regs. The other thing we have to be careful of, it's in a residential zone. And how many acres does he have? 1.5, and how many units do we get on 1 acre in the north end of affordable housing?
77.
You know, sometimes you gotta be careful.
Any other discussion?
Being that it meets the regulations, I think I don't have any choice but to vote for it.
Yep. Any other? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries 810. How about the spa? We're good with the spa? Can we hear a motion, please?
Motion to approve application for special permit on behalf of Antonio Ceci, applicant's requesting a special permit to section 3046 of the zoning regulations for spa and wellness center located at 830 South Main Street, Assessors Map 7, Lot 110, Zone C3. Commission finds based on the presentation documents provided, the applicant has demonstrated compliance with the Cheshire zoning regulations.
Moved by Mr. Mercado, second by Mr. Natale. Discussion.
Wish her luck. Sounds good. Yeah.
Yep.
In fact, it's gonna be nice to see business down in the Bahamas again.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Whispering Oaks is not ready. Hydrocolonics, whatever, is still open. AJ, can we hear AJ's motion?
Motion to approve application for special permit on behalf of Central Connecticut Recycling Transfer LLC applicants requesting a special permit pursuant to Section 30, Schedule A, Number 70 of the zoning regulations for a refuse transfer and recycling center located at 22 Burton Drive, Assessors Map 12, Lot 18, 19, 43, Zone I2. Commission finds based on the presentation documents provided, the applicants demonstrated compliance with the Cheshire zoning regulations. The approval is subject to the following condition: Knox box to be maintained by the applicant and location be approved by the fire chief or his designees to be installed.
Moved by Mr. Mercado, seconded by Mr. Kaderis. Discussion on the motion.
very straightforward. They're gonna suck boxes and make it
Yep.
And by crushing boxes, they'll have less traffic through town, so there'll be less, they'll actually improve on the traffic. I think it's environmentally good.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Anything else to come before this commission tonight? It's not ready. That's why I said it wasn't
Town
ready.
engineer,
Any chickens?
I have 2 questions over here. I have a couple questions over here.
Two questions. Asked this months ago. Sorry. It is on, it's just not pointed towards me. Asked the question months ago. So when we approved the Hartford Healthcare Building in the industrial park, we used to have that nice sign that said Cheshire Industrial Park. And part of the approval back then was that they were going to actually redo the sign, make it look nice.
talking about the one that's on the corner of Marion and
No, I'm talking
Nodder?
about,
Yes.
yes.
That
Yes.
was that's been repainted.
The industrial park sign?
Yeah.
Where is it? I didn't see it. I drove by. You should be able to see it from the highway.
It's over, yeah.
Okay.
I-
They were gonna maintain that, so I just
I'll
wanted
take
to
a
check on
picture,
that.
show it to you.
Well, can't take pictures if it's overgrown. And last question, we have our next meeting when, the 27th?
Yep.
Okay.
And so the next meeting will be downstairs in 207. Because of early voting, we can't have a meeting up here, so we're gonna do another workshop, if that's okay with the commission.
So the public hearing that's continued will be
We got a
the next meeting?
60-day extension from them, so we're fine on statute for time. I gave you 3 sections to take a look at of the new regs. There's a printed copy for everyone up there. Yep, black and white.
I do have a question. How's Vessel making out on their,
They don't have a building permit right now. They were issued a stop work order and the permits. were
understood,
revoked.
I don't want to get into that. How about the generator issue?
Still not
I
resolved.
see that thing, there's something that was built there, I don't remember. What was in that area?
Still not resolved.
Okay, make sure it comes back here. You don't have the auto pen for that one.
He can't resist.
Mike, there's people working.
That's,
I watch people
that's a
online.
building, that's.
That's
right-
not us there.
That's not us, it's a building department thing. I'm staying away from that.
Let them know that they have
That's Tom and the boys. They may be doing corrective things right now to address some of those issues, so I don't want to speak out of turn on it.
Anything else come before the commission? Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved, seconded, and everyone's in favor.